Focus on your relationships. While the paychecks might look nice when you work all the time, your kids won't remember all of the things you bought them. However, they will remember the time you spent or didn't spend with them. Time is a precious resource, and once it's gone, you won't get it back. Therefore, spend time focusing on your relationships with your loved ones. Those are the things that truly matter in life. Increase your awareness and explore the world around you. Is there something that you've always wanted to learn or somewhere that you always wanted to go? Take the time to do it. Consider taking a class or going on a trip. You don't even have to leave where you live to go exploring. Take some time to find out what some interesting things about where you live and go check those out. You never know what you might discover. 5 consequences of poor work-life balance. Work-life balance is defined as finding a balance between work life and personal life. It doesn't have to be an even split. Balance is different for everyone. Some people believe it is balancing achievement over enjoyment. The perfect balance would be to never sacrifice either one for the other. What are the consequences of poor work-life balance? You must understand, back when you fail to find this balance, you may experience some undesired problems. We'll talk about 5 consequences of poor work-life balance below. Impacts relationships. When it comes to your relationships, the imbalance causes a dilemma. If you focus too much on your career, your relationships will suffer. After all, they need attention too. A relationship requires just as much attention, if not more, than your career. You must make the time and effort to nurture and broaden your friendships. Be there for your friends when they need your help. The bonds you form with others are a critical piece of the puzzle. They keep you grounded. If you don't make time for their relationships, you may lose them. Increases stress levels. If you do not have good work-life balance, you could end up with higher stress levels. If you start feeling stressed, your body is trying to tell you that something's wrong. Though there are other things that can come up that cause stress spikes, such as financial issues, family issues, or unexpected events, work is one of the major things that bring stress to your lives. The need to be successful or stand out above the crowd can cause you to spend too much time at work. This results in extremely high stress levels. Impacts physical health. Poor work-life balance can have a negative impact on your overall health. This is because when life is not in sync, your eating habits change as well as your sleeping habits. If you're not eating healthy and you're not getting adequate sleep, all of these can lead to high blood pressure, headaches, aches and pains, stroke, heart attack, and many more. Your immune system can also be weakened, which can lead to other illnesses. If you're not taking the time to get the sleep that you need and to eat the proper foods, you can guarantee that there will be issues. Impacts mental health. Some people who have a poor work-life balance may experience mental health issues, such as anxiety and depression. After all, the pressure of keeping up with a hectic life or putting others ahead of ourselves will eventually wear you down. This can trigger things like difficulty breathing, a racing heart, exhaustion, trouble concentrating, sense of panic. Studies have shown that long work hours and mental health are related. The more hours you give your job, the more likely you are to experience anxiety and depression. Impacts productivity. When you start to feel like all you do is work, your productivity will drop. You may start being late on or even missing deadlines. Or perhaps you meet the deadline, but the work wasn't the quality that you typically produce. Either way, you begin to resent your job and you don't work as hard. Conclusion. It is absolutely critical that you learn to find balance between your personal and work lives. If you don't, there will be consequences. Some of them may not seem that serious at first glance, but can lead to significant issues later down the road. 5 signs you need to ditch that friend. A bad friend is one that takes up all of your resources, time, energy, and money without a second thought. They make you feel like you have to walk on eggshells when they're around. You're exhausted, emotionally battered, and feel used. This is not how a true friend should make you feel. perhaps it's time to ditch them. In this presentation, we will explain 5 signs that you need to ditch that friend. Your friend encourages you to do things that you probably shouldn't. You have a pretty decent job that pays pretty well. Your friend wants you to skip work to go to a concert with them. However, you've already been warned about your attendance. You have a strict budget that you need to stick to. Your friend likes to spend money. You can't afford to spend money like they do. Does any of this sound familiar? If so, it is a huge red flag that you need to ditch that friend. After all, if they want you to wreck your life, they're not a good friend. You don't remember the last time you learned something from your friend. There is more to friendship than having fun and emotional support. You should also be learning from each other and growing from your experiences together. Yes, your friend should teach you something once in a while. Look back on the last 6 months or so. Have you learned anything new or interesting from your friend? Have you been inspired to be a better person? If not, it's time to move on. You feel like you're always giving more than they are. Friendships should be equal. Both sides should be contributing. However, if you are typically the giver, you may be more of a martyr than a friend. If you feel like you're being taken advantage of, you should probably move on from that friendship. You may feel like you should stay, but why keep giving them the world? They'll just keep taking advantage. It'll never change. You feel like your friend doesn't want you to better yourself. A true friend will support you when you try to better yourself. Not only will they be your cheerleader, they'll also celebrate with you when you reach your goal. Unfortunately, people who are unhappy with themselves also want to keep others down with them. It somehow makes them feel better. Does your friend refuse to support you? Do they disparage you and tear you down? If so, you don't need that friend in your life. It is a sign to move on. You no longer share the same values. When you first met, you got along great. You shared the same values and beliefs, which is critical in any healthy relationship. At the very least, you need to be able to get along. But while it's okay to agree to disagree, there's always some point where you can't ignore your differences. When the differences get so wide that your friend is starting to be hostile to you, it's time to move on. Conclusion. A bad friend will drain you of all of your resources. Sometimes you may start out as great friends, but over the years things change. If you feel like any of these signs apply to a friend in your life, that means you have a toxic friend. The best thing to do is ditch that friend and cut your losses. Make new friends who'll appreciate you and encourage you. 5 tips for creating a peaceful home when things are tense. When searching for ways to manage stress, people often overlook one of the easiest and most useful strategies: creating peace at home. After all, most of our days begin and end at home, so having peace can make a lot of difference. While it's important, most people simply don't see creating peace at home as a pressing matter. After all, we have so many other things going on. We rush out the door in the morning and come home just in time to eat dinner and crash at night. We don't have time to create peace. Why should you make your home peaceful? Take a few moments to think about how nice it would be to wake up or come back to an organized, clean home. This will make your house very peaceful, which leads to saving energy and relieving stress. Hidden costs of clutter. Most people don't realize this, but there are some hidden costs to clutter. It takes your time, energy, and money. Many people who live in clutter have described feeling chaotic or disorganized. Can't have fun with loved ones. One expert has referred to the clutter environment as chaos. That is, can't have anyone over syndrome. This is definitely true. You can't relax with your loved ones in a messy home. Since social support is important for creating balance in your life, it's helpful if your home is one where everyone can kick back and relax once in a while. Drains your energy. Feng Shui is the Eastern practice of placement and has increased in popularity across the world. People are realizing that their surroundings have an effect on how they feel and their energy levels. Whether this is something you're invested in or not, you've likely noticed that clutter drains your energy. This is because there's so much to look at, and when you look at it, you're reminded of all the things you need to do. If you can maintain an uncluttered, peaceful home, you'll be able to relax and you'll have more energy. Now we will provide you with 5 tips for making your home a more peaceful place to be. Scale down, organize, decorate. When people think about a home makeover, these are the 3 activities they commonly imagine. After all, getting the clutter out can help you stop the energy drains around your home. When you organize everything, you know where everything is. Everything will have a place and everything will be in its place. Once you have everything organized, you can start to decorate. Make sure that you use colors and schemes that speak to you and also help you feel relaxed and energized. Create a space to relieve stress. One of the hardest things about maintaining stress-relieving habits is that you end up getting busy with other things, which gets in the way. However, if you purposely include a space to practice your stress-relieving habits, you're reminded to maintain your motivation to continue those habits. Incorporate Feng Shui. Many people believe and swear by the practice of Feng Shui. Many people have reaped the benefits that this practice can provide. As you're creating your peaceful home, try factoring in some Feng Shui. Once you have incorporated these into your environment, they are simply part of the decor. They don't require much effort to maintain. Use aromatherapy. Since aromatherapy is so popular, it's easy to find these products. They can provide a wonderful scent for the room, which can be relaxing or energizing based on the aromatherapy oils that you use. Research has proven that there are stress-relieving benefits to using it. You can use aromatherapy to create a peaceful home through passive stress relief. Use music. Music can also offer passive stress relief, as well as energizing or relaxing you based on the music that you play. When you have music playing in the background, it contributes to a sense of peacefulness in your home. It can relieve the stress of those that you live with as well as your own with very little effort. Conclusion. Your home is where you begin and end your day. Need to focus on creating a peaceful home environment, especially when things are tense. This will make your life and the lives of those around you much easier and better. 5 tips to reclaim control over your unbalanced life. In the past, before the digital age, boundaries between work and personal life were pretty well defined. However, now maintaining balance between work and personal life is not as easy. When your life is unbalanced, your stress levels will increase. You may feel like it's impossible, but it's really not difficult to reclaim control over your unbalanced life. In this tutorial, we will give you 5 tips to do just that. Cost of being married to your work. While you might be tempted to rack up hours at work, doing so will have a negative impact on your personal life. There are a couple of consequences of a poor work-life balance, such as fatigue, poor health, lost time with loved ones, increased expectations. There are several ways that you can reclaim control over your unbalanced life. Here are 5 of them. Learn to say no. You must learn to say no. You simply can't be everything to everyone all the time. If there's something that is being asked of you that does not contribute to your life, it's okay to say no. This also goes for electronics. Whether for work or pleasure, turn the computer, phone, tablet, etc. off for at least a few hours every night. Set an out-of-office auto-reply on your emails and text messages so that people know that you will get back to them when you're back in the office. You deserve time for yourself. Focus on yourself. Take some time to make yourself a priority. For some, this may mean spending some time alone or pursuing a favorite hobby that has fallen by the wayside. This definitely includes considering your mental, physical, and spiritual health. Remove any toxins in your life, including any negative influences. After all, if you don't take care of yourself, you'll end up getting burnt out and may even end up having a breakdown. Focus on your relationships. While the paychecks might look nice when you work all the time, your kids won't remember all of the things you bought them. However, they will remember the time you spent or didn't spend with them. Time is a precious resource, and once it's gone, you won't get it back. Therefore, spend time focusing on your relationships with your loved ones. Those are the things that truly matter in life. Increase your awareness and explore the world around you. Is there something that you've always wanted to learn or somewhere that you always wanted to go? Take the time to do it. Consider taking a class or going on a trip. You don't even have to leave where you live to go exploring. Take some time to find out what some interesting things about where you live and go check those out. You never know what you might discover. Schedule your time. If reclaiming control over your unbalanced life is truly important to you, schedule your time. This means that if your workday begins at 8 a.m. and ends at 5 p.m., you need to stop working at 5 p.m. Of course, if you're wrapping up a project, it's fine to go a little fast, but don't let work eat up all your time. Once you do find balance, you might even need to schedule time with your loved ones. This is a great thing to do, especially if your work-life balance has spiraled totally out of control. Conclusion. Reclaiming control over your unbalanced life is critical to your overall well-being. It's really not all that difficult if you're willing to make it a priority. Simply follow these tips and you'll be finding balance before you realize it. Boundaries and balance. What you need to know. Boundaries are good to have. They help people to know what is acceptable versus what is not. In the case of work-life balance, they can be used to establish limits to help you gain control over various aspects of your life. In this presentation, we will explain what you need to know about boundaries and balance. Since the pandemic started, more people are complaining that they lack balance between their work and personal lives. After all, many are still working from home. This means work spills into their personal time. This leads to frustration and burnout. If you want a better work-life balance, consider these 4 ways to set personal boundaries. Make yourself a priority. One of the first things you must do when creating a better work-life balance is to make yourself a priority. Think about what it is that makes you happy, what makes you feel like you're fulfilled. Additionally, consider who you're taking care of. You should be taking care of yourself. After all, if you're not taking care of yourself, you'll not be able to be there for the ones who you care for. This does not mean that you should regularly tank an entire day for yourself. Simply allow yourself to take a nap when you need it. Participate in your favorite hobbies from time to time. Close your door and give yourself 15 minutes of peace and quiet. Do whatever it is that you need to make yourself feel centered. Then you can be there for others. Consider creating a do not disturb sign for your door. Make sure everyone knows that if the sign is on the door, they should leave you alone until you open the door again. Disconnect from electronics. With today's technology, everyone is available at all times. However, talk to your boss and explain that there will be times you will be disconnected from your devices. If you supervise anyone, pass this information down to them so they know when you will not be available. Almost everyone who works from home must establish boundaries between their work and home lives. If you're always attached to your electronic devices, you'll feel like your work is never over. This is why we all feel so overwhelmed. Consider a time when it would be acceptable to realistically turn your devices off and stick to it. Of course, if you're like most people, your phone also is a part of your personal life. Therefore, you must decide what boundary will work for you. Create a dedicated workspace. Ideally, you should have a separate room to work in. If you cannot do that, you need to establish a dedicated workspace. Consider moving furniture around the room to create an office zone. If you want a physical reminder of this boundary, consider purchasing a dividing screen or something. Create or maintain routine. You can create structure to your day by establishing and maintaining morning and evening routines. A morning routine can help you start the day with less stress and anxiety. Consider how you start or end your days. Do you immediately start looking at your email or mail? Do you slowly settle into the day? Does your routine work for you, or does it need to be changed? Unfortunately, most people will never achieve true balance in their lives. There will always be things that come up and interrupt our carefully laid plans. However, the key is to lean into your routine. Conclusion. We all strive for work-life balance, but very few of us actually achieve it. However, the truth is, this is something that can be done. You just need to learn to establish boundaries, and you'll be well on your way. Finding joy in your unbalanced life. If you're like most people, you've been told that you need to find balance between your work life and your home life. However, you feel like this is almost impossible. After all, there are so many hours in the day and days in the week. How can you truly find balance with so many things demanding your attention? In this presentation, we will explain how to find joy in your unbalanced life. Let things go. Everyone gets the same 24 hours. You must decide how you spend it. As you go through your day, think about what you are giving priority to. Put down everything that is getting your attention in order of importance. Whatever ends up on the bottom of the list can be delayed a little. Chances are, because you need the money to pay the bills, your job will be near the top of the list during a typical weekday. Spending time with your family may come second. Just consider all of the things that need your attention, and if it's not critical, put it on the back burner. On the other hand, if there's something you feel like you're missing or something you want more of, do less of the things that don't matter as much and add these things. Letting go can be a scary thing, but it is the key to finding joy in your unbalanced life. Create some rituals. We all know that life gets stressful during certain times of the year. If you work outside of the home, you may have busy seasons at work. If you're a stay-at-home parent, school holidays may bring you stress. If you want to counteract that stress and get done what needs to be done, create a few rituals. Whatever it takes to bring some safety or normalcy to your day. Figure out what works for you and stick with it as much as possible. This will help balance your unbalanced life. Try to balance for a month. You should not feel like you have to find balance every day. As long as you have some balance during the month, you're doing good. Start each month with a clear picture of the 3 most important things in your life. If things start to get crazy, don't feel bad about giving one thing lower priority for a few days or even a week. By the end of the month, everything on your list will have gotten their share of your attention. Take a breath and take action. There will be moments when you feel unhappy and overwhelmed. Some people refer to this as burnout. However, before it goes too far, take a breath and think about every aspect of your life. You do not want to get to the point where you forget to have fun because you did too much. If you reach the point where 24 hours is not long enough to achieve your goals for the day, something is going to have to give in. Your perfect imbalance is no longer perfect. Yes, giving things up can be scary and even emotional. However, follow your gut and do what your heart says is right. Embrace your life. Finally, keep in mind, this is your life. The most important thing is whether you are happy with the way that you have chosen to live your life. Therefore, learn to find joy in the imbalance and your personal what and why. They're yours. Don't forget to smile because this is your perfectly imperfect, unbalanced life. You may find that it's different from those around you, and that's okay. Conclusion. We're told that we must find balance in our life in order to be truly happy. However, this is not true. You can learn to love the imbalance and the imperfection while you're trying to create a balanced life. Don't let it get in the way of your happiness. Saying no. The key to a balanced life. Many people struggle with finding balance in their life. This is often because they have trouble saying no. Perhaps you feel like you can't say no because it's work-related. However, Just because you can do something doesn't mean you have to. It's okay to say no. In this presentation, we'll explain how to say no. Consequences of not saying no. There are several consequences to not saying no. Let's take a moment to explore some of those. If you always say yes when you actually want to say no, then you're likely to be angry with the other person, though they've not really done anything wrong. If you always say yes, you're likely to develop feelings of frustration with yourself. If you always say yes, you end up taking on more than you can handle. This results in being overwhelmed and stressed. If you always say yes, you could end up feeling depressed and anxious. Reasons you struggle with saying no. Throughout your life, you've been taught that you can't always say no. This leads to unhealthy beliefs about establishing boundaries, which make it even harder to decline requests. Let's look at some of these reasons you feel like you can't say no. You believe it is rude or hostile. You feel like it goes against your people-pleasing tendencies. You're afraid of upsetting others. You feel you will be seen as nasty and selfish. You're afraid it will keep people from liking you. If any of these reasons sound like you, consider replacing these beliefs with the following. Declining a request is simply that. You are not rejecting the person. When you agree to a request, you're actually declining another one. Even if your opinions are different, you have the right to share them. Chances are the individual making the request will understand if you say no. If someone has the right to request something of you, you do have the right to decline. Now that we've looked at the consequences of not saying no and the reasons you may struggle with saying no, we will now explore 6 ways to say no. You'll need to consider the situation in request to determine which one is the best response. Direct no. If someone asks you to do something that you don't have time or the desire to do, it is perfectly acceptable to simply say, "No, I can't do that." The goal here is to say no without apologizing or explaining yourself. Reflecting no. The reflecting no is when you acknowledge the request and the emotions behind it, but still respond with no. In this case, you would say something like, "I realize you would like for me to do that, but I just can't." Reasoned no. The reasoned no is when you provide the person who's asking with a short, honest reason for declining their request. In this case, you would say something like, "I can't do that because I have a lot on my plate right now." You do not have to give specific details. This lets them know that you gave consideration to their request, but you still have to decline due to other obligations. Rain check no. The rain check no is not a definite, permanent no. This allows you to decline the request at this time, still allowing you to say yes in the future. This one should only be used if you do want to meet their request at some point. In this case, you would say something like, "I'm unable to do that today, but can we schedule it for another time?" Inquisitive no. The inquisitive no is also not a definite, permanent no. This gives you the option of opening the request to see if there are alternatives. In this case, you would say something like, "I can't take care of that today. Maybe there's someone else that can?" Broken record no. The broken record no is when the person asking doesn't accept no. They just keep asking, and you just keep repeating. This can be used in a variety of situations. Anytime you say no, and they don't want to listen. In this case, you just repeat your answer in a variety of versions. Conclusion. You might not realize it, but the key to finding a work-life balance is to learn how to say no. When you always say yes, you spread yourself too thin. Next time you're asked to do something, consider these 6 ways of saying no and use them as needed. Wake-up call. 5 examples of an unbalanced life. A healthy work-life balance is something that we all love to talk about, research, and strive for. Unfortunately, it seems to always elude us. This should not happen. Typically, the reason something is unattainable is because we make it that way. You will only find balance when you can honestly look at your work health, mental health, physical health, and spiritual health. In this tutorial, we will provide you with a wake-up call. We will give you 5 examples of an unbalanced life. Hopefully, these will help you find balance in your life. You bring work with you. We've all heard of someone that is constantly checking their work-related emails and texts when they're out with friends and loved ones. It's bad enough to be a workaholic while you're at the office, since you don't leave your desk for an entire 8-hour shift. However, it's worse when you're chained to your desk even when you're out of the office. You can fix this by setting up out-of-office auto-replies in your email and set apps to Do Not Disturb so that you can actually enjoy your time off. Resist the urge to check in. If you're not in the office, whatever task or person needs your attention can wait until you are. You're not getting enough sleep. The average adult needs 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. Your body's circadian rhythm is wired to function on 24-hour cycles. Therefore, staying up for 48 hours and then sleeping for 12 is not healthy. When you don't get enough sleep, your immune system is weakened, which makes you vulnerable to illness. In the long run, you increase your chances of developing major medical conditions. If your lack of sleep is caused by insomnia, avoid taking naps. While they're great for getting extra snooze time, they also make it more difficult for you to sleep at night. If screen time is an issue, put the electronics down. Even with night mode on, your brain will still be stimulated by social media. You're not exercising. Exercise is one of the first things that is sacrificed in favor of work. After all, for most people, going to the gym is not an appealing task. Therefore, if the excuse of work can get them out of it, they'll use it. However, physical activity is critical for your overall physical and mental health. Though most people see it as a distraction, exercise actually can increase your productivity and improve your mood. With all of the 24-hour gyms available now, it's hard to say that you don't have time to get to the gym. However, if you feel like you just can't get to the gym, consider exercising in the office. You can use your desk or chair for dips. Also, squats and push-ups can be done anywhere. If cost is an issue, check with your benefits department because some companies offer reimbursements for gym memberships, and some will even provide it for you. At the very least, take a break from your desk once in a while and go for a quick walk. You are more impatient. While it's true that some people are naturally impatient, having an unbalanced life can increase your stress levels. This means that your patience decreases. If you're typically a happy-go-lucky person, but you're suddenly snapping at loved ones, you're probably working too hard. If you find yourself being impatient and irritable with those around you, it's time to take action. In addition to decreasing your work hours, try keeping a gratitude journal. When you wake up and when you go to bed, take a few minutes to reflect on all of the things you're thankful for. You have become a perfectionist. Perfectionism is a double-edged sword. It can be useful or a burden, depending on how you use it. Striving for quality results in your work is a great way to be successful, but if you don't keep it in check, you can end up with unhealthy habits. Learn to manage your time by setting personal deadlines. This will give you a time when you have to step back and see the work as good enough and move to the next task. If you don't give yourself a cutoff time, you'll always be nitpicking your projects. Conclusion. We all wish that we could find balance between our work lives and our personal lives, but it seems to always be just out of reach. This is because we're not truly making it a priority. If you see any of these in your life, it's time to answer the wake-up call and find the balance that you seek. Why living an unbalanced life is dangerous, and what can you do about it? Many people find it difficult to find balance between their work and personal lives, but living an unbalanced life is dangerous. It can affect your personal health, put a strain on your personal relationships, and even decrease your productivity. In this presentation, we will discuss some of the things that are affected by an unbalanced life and what you can do about it. What is at risk? When your work and personal life is out of balance, there are 5 very important assets that you are putting at risk. We'll talk about those below. Your personal health is at risk. Working too much and the lifestyle that goes with it is bad for you because you typically do not take care of yourself. Your family is at risk. Working too much can drive a wedge between you and your spouse. Not only that, but you also have very little time to spend with your children, which can have detrimental effects later in their lives. Your friends are at risk. Working too much keeps you from spending time with your friends. Relationships take effort, and you cannot invest that effort if you're never with them. Your personal productivity is at risk. There's only a certain amount of time each day that you're able to be highly productive. When you work too much, you decrease that time. After a certain point, the number of hours you're working has nothing to do with your productivity levels. Your example is at risk. If you're spending lots of extra time at work, the people who you supervise will feel like they have to keep up. Most of them will not be able to. What can you do to balance your life? Now that you know what you're putting at risk by living an unbalanced life, let's take a look at a few ways that you can bring some balance. Acknowledge. Take some time to examine your life, how you feel, and your state of mind. Be honest with yourself. Pay close attention to the areas of your life that you feel are being neglected. Examine. Pay attention to your focus and notice if you're more focused on the internal or the external. Then determine if there are areas where you would like to find more balance. Set goals. Determine what areas of your life that you would like to have balance. Take the time to write those down. Make a plan. Take the time to create a list of things that you'd like to get done in order to achieve your goals. List them by tasks that need to be done daily, weekly, and monthly. Take note of anything you've tried in the past and whether or not it worked. If it did not work, how can you do it differently? Take time to reflect. Think about your most important accomplishment and how you were able to meet that goal. Consider how you dealt with anxieties, fears, negative self-talk, worries, and doubts. How do you feel about reaching that goal despite all of that? Prepare yourself. Think about things that might come up and get in the way of sticking to your plan. This includes the fears, doubts, anxieties, negative self-talk, and worries. Decide what you'll say to yourself to keep from losing focus on your goal. Find an accountability partner. Is there anyone that you can reach out to that will keep you motivated, supported, and focused when you get distracted by things? Find someone who's willing to help you challenge yourself and to celebrate when you do make progress. Conclusion. While you might not think it's a big deal to live an unbalanced life, it is dangerous to several aspects of your life. However, there are things that you can do to turn it around. You can find balance if you're willing to work at it. Why you can't have your cake and eat it too. Dangers of an unbalanced diet. A balanced diet is one that includes all of the basic food groups. This provides the body with the appropriate types and amounts of nutrients for energy and overall nutrition. According to medical professionals, a balanced diet consists of the following each day: 4 servings of fruit, 4 servings of vegetables, 6 servings of grains, 6 ounces or less of fish, lean meat, or poultry, 2 to 3 servings of dairy products. If you're not getting the appropriate types and amounts of food, you have an unbalanced diet. This leads to a variety of health hazards. In this tutorial, we will explain some of the dangers of an unbalanced diet. You really cannot have your cake and eat it too. Obesity. According to experts at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, one of the most common health problems associated with an unbalanced diet is obesity. If you do not balance your caloric intake with your level of physical activity, you begin to gain weight. If this weight gain leads to an excess amount of body fat, bringing your BMI to 30 or higher, you will be diagnosed as obese. Consuming a variety of foods that are rich in nutrients and controlling your caloric intake along with regular physical activity can treat and prevent this from happening. Malnutrition. Another fairly common problem with an unbalanced diet is that it can lead to malnutrition. In this case, your body is not receiving the nutrients it needs to function properly. In fact, if your diet is deficient in just one nutrient, it can lead to malnutrition. According to the professionals, you need to be eating a variety of foods from all of the food groups to ensure that you are getting everything your body needs. This includes low-fat dairy, fish, legumes, fruits, whole grains, vegetables, seeds, lean meats, and nuts. Cardiovascular disease. This condition is one of the more serious health issues related to an unbalanced diet. If you are consuming a diet that is high in fat, sugar, and cholesterol, but low-end whole grains, fruits, and vegetables, you increase your risk of high blood pressure and cholesterol. In addition, you increase your risk of atherosclerosis and coronary heart disease. This means that you're at a greater risk of having a stroke and/or a heart attack. On the other hand, including plenty of fruits and vegetables as well as whole grains in your diet along with a moderate amount of lean meats and low-fat dairy can help. Physical activity is also beneficial for helping avoid cardiovascular issues. Diabetes. Another potential health issue related to an unbalanced diet is type 2 diabetes. This is especially true if your diet results in excessive weight gain. One study related to the risk of type 2 diabetes with the degree and duration of obesity. This means that the more excess fat you have, the greater your chance of developing type 2 diabetes. As mentioned, the same can be said for how long you have obesity. The best way to avoid this is to maintain a caloric-controlled diet that includes plenty of whole grains, fruits, and vegetables. Additionally, you need to increase your physical activity. Osteoarthritis. The last health issue related to an unbalanced diet that we will discuss is osteoarthritis, which is a degenerative joint disease. The risk of developing osteoarthritis is also related to excess weight. When you are overweight or obese, you put more stress on your joints than they can handle. This causes cartilage to wear down. However, if you maintain a healthy weight, you decrease this risk. Conclusion. As you can see, it is very important that you maintain a healthy, balanced diet. An unbalanced diet leads to a variety of health problems. The ones listed here are just a few. Make sure to include the proper foods as well as the proper amounts of those foods to ensure that your diet is healthy.
Introduction. Gratitude is a powerful emotion that can provide you with a number of benefits and can really transform your life for the better. Most people do not appreciate the power that gratitude has, and you will be far ahead of the curve going through this training and applying the techniques in it to develop your attitude of gratitude. In this training, you will learn what gratitude is and why it is so powerful. Making the transition to a gratitude-based life is going to require knowledge, application, and persistence. It is not an overnight miracle, but you can get started immediately after you have gone through this training. You will learn in the training that gratitude will bring more abundance into your life. With the power of the law of attraction, you can use your shift to gratitude to send the right signals to the universe and get more of what you desire. Most people focus on the lack in their life, but you will be appreciative of what you have and open the door to abundance. You will need to develop a gratitude mindset, and you will learn how to do this in the training. After this, you can develop gratitude habits that will become automatic after a while. Practicing gratitude daily is very important, and we provide you with some excellent ways to do this, which are very effective. Gratitude will make you more optimistic and happier in life. You can use it to improve your relationships using the methods that we provide in the training. We've tried to provide you with the best methods to develop an attitude of gratitude in the fastest possible time. Follow the advice in this training, and you won't go wrong. What is gratitude? When you think about the word gratitude, what does it mean to you? We believe that it is all about being thankful for what you have, counting your blessings, being really appreciative of anything that you receive, and really valuing simple things in your life that are really important. Each morning when you awake, be grateful that you have another day of life. One of the best ways to understand gratitude is to think of everything as a miracle. The fact that you are alive, that you have a roof over your head, there is food and water available to you, and so on. The real art of being grateful is to develop an awareness on a continual basis about what you have, no matter how small. Most people tend to concentrate on the things that they don't have. The law of attraction will keep providing them with lack if they persist with this. When you express gratitude on a regular basis, you make a transition from always focusing on lack to focusing in the abundance that you have right now. There are health benefits to adopting an attitude of gratitude as well. Many studies have shown that being grateful makes people happier and more resilient to the challenges of life. The simple act of saying thanks. Many of us are taught to say thanks when we receive something from others. It tends to be an automatic reaction. But the giving of thanks can have a significant impact on the person receiving as well as for the giver of the thanks. The impact is even more intense if there is strong emotion linked to the giving of thanks. If the receiver sees that you are really appreciative for what they have done for you, then they will get a warm feeling inside when they get a sincere thanks from you. Gratitude goes back a long way. The Roman philosopher, Cicero, discussed the subject of gratitude over 2,000 years ago. He saw the value in it and described it as opening doors and keeping people young. Cicero saw gratitude as a true virtue. But we believe that gratitude is a lot more than a virtue. It is something that people feel from deeply within and a strong emotion. When we are grateful to others, we feel this inside, and we also experience a positive emotion when we receive sincere gratitude. When you adopt an attitude of gratitude and harness the power of this emotion and inner feeling, then it is going to help you make really strong connections. Unfortunately, in modern times, gratitude is not as prevalent as it once was, and we want it to make a massive comeback. A sense of belonging. We are a gregarious species, and when we express gratitude, we are really strengthening our sense of belonging in the human race. Being grateful will provide you with a total sense of well-being. Here's a little exercise for you. Close your eyes and think about a time when you felt really appreciated. Make this feeling strong and really live it. Note the words that you hear. What feelings are you experiencing? What really appreciated these feelings? What did you think at the time? Did this make you joyful? If so, why? Write down the answers to all of these questions. You can reflect on them at a later time. No single gratitude definition. We do not believe that there is a single definition of gratitude. You will see definitions for gratitude that center around emotions, traits, attitudes, habits, and even morals. Gratitude is complex and it is dynamic. We believe that gratitude is actually a skill. When you cultivate the skill of gratitude, your life will dramatically transform for the better. It will help you get more of the things that you want and strengthen your relationships. The gratitude emotion. You may notice that gratitude has a strong connection to moods. We think that it is more about emotion. Emotion is a definite personal experience or circumstance. A mood can be influenced by a number of different things and doesn't usually come from within. When you think about gratitude, you usually express it in response to an action that occurs in a relationship situation with someone else. Another person has given you something, or you have given something to another person. When people express gratitude for receiving, they are performing an exchange. This exchange strengthens the gratitude emotion. Most emotions are powerful, but gratitude is really powerful. When an exchange occurs, the receiver of the gratitude needs to put themselves in the shoes of the giver to really experience the emotion. When you place yourself in the giver's shoes, it enables you to feel the intention of the giver. It is very important that the receiver really feels the sincere intention of the giver so that they can stir the emotion of gratitude and respond accordingly. So, it truly is an emotional exchange that is very powerful. There are many reasons to be grateful. Gratitude is not just about an exchange between a giver and a receiver. It isn't limited to the giving and receiving of material things either. If you receive good advice from someone else, then you should certainly be grateful for this. For example, you can express gratitude on your own. Good health, the food that you have to eat, the people that you have in your life, the job that you work at that provides the money that you need. These are all things that you should be grateful for. As you will learn from going through this training, there are so many things that you have in your life right now that you can and should be grateful for. Most people will be grateful for what they receive from others, but they do little, if anything, to express gratitude for what they have in their life at this moment. What should you be grateful for? We have already said that there are many things that you can be grateful for. In this training, we will provide you with the knowledge and the methods that will help you to develop a true attitude of gratitude. It will help you to develop the mindset that you should take nothing for granted and that you should value everything that you have in your life. It is going to take practice to truly adopt an attitude of gratitude. We all lead busy lives these days, but you need to make room for gratitude. After going through this training, you will know when you need to be grateful and when you should take action to express it. Too many people take everything that they have for granted. Think about what your life would be like if you lost some of these things. Are you grateful for your health? Where would you be if you had significant health problems? So, if you suddenly had your health taken away, or have your car taken away, or you are even denied access to the people in your social circle, how would these things make you feel? Pretty bad is the answer. Now imagine slowly receiving all of these things back. Would you be grateful? You bet you would be. Start by finding happiness in what you have. One of the best ways to find things to be grateful for is to look for happiness in the things in your life that you have right now. Most people reserve their gratitude for receiving the bigger things in life, such as meeting the partner of your dreams, getting a promotion at work, or having a baby. If you are thinking this way, then you need to change. Here are some things you can try that are extremely easy to do. As soon as you awaken each day, be grateful that you have another day of life. That way that you view life will determine your happiness, and it will help you to appreciate how you see your life right now. When you think about it, there are so many things in your life that you can be grateful for. Just thinking about this can give you a real lift and make you feel a lot happier. So, make a commitment to identify the smaller things in life that you tend to take for granted and be grateful for these things. Look at the small things around you. Life is full of small things that you can easily take for granted. When you start to look at these small things, it can really help you to appreciate your life a lot more. Become more aware of nature, for example. When you see a beautiful butterfly, be grateful that nature can bring you these beautiful things. What about the food that appears on your table every day? What about the fact that you have air to breathe and the energy to do the things that you need and want to do? Yes, these things are simple, but when you really start to acknowledge them and appreciate them, then you will be even happier with your life. Put things in perspective with gratitude. When you develop your attitude of gratitude, it will really help you to put things into perspective. Sometimes you will have days when everything seems to be going wrong for you. When you experience these kinds of days, use your power of gratitude to remind yourself that every problem is an opportunity for you to grow. We all have challenges that we need to overcome in our lives. When you have an attitude of gratitude, you will be able to see good things in any form of adversity. Focus on this and be grateful for what you can gain from the situation. Maybe you will learn something new or develop a new skill to tackle a similar problem in the future. Start writing down things to be thankful for. To develop your attitude of gratitude, we encourage you to write down the things that you can be grateful for when they come to mind. This will help you to keep identifying the small things in your life that require your gratitude. As you continue to appreciate the smaller things in life, it will lead to greater happiness, contentment, harmony, and bliss. When you find yourself in a difficult situation, never see this as some form of punishment or a burden in your life that you must bear. Learn to appreciate problems. Change your thinking to believe that you should be grateful for all the problems that you face in your life. See all of these as making you a stronger and wiser person. It is all part of your journey to become a better person. You should never be in a position where you do not have anything to be grateful for. There are so many things that you can be grateful for, and when you practice this gratitude, then you will feel a lot happier in your life. Stop taking everything for granted. If you are ever feeling down for whatever reason, then think about something that you can be grateful for to change your state and make you feel better. Once you get into the habit of doing this, then you will find it easy to identify something that deserves your gratitude. Gratitude leads to abundance. The opposite of gratitude is focusing on the things that you do not have in your life. So many people concentrate on lack and end up living a pretty miserable life as a result. If you keep focusing on lack, then you will receive more lack. People never understand this, but it is how the law of attraction works, and you cannot get around this life law. Whether you believe in the law of attraction or not doesn't really matter. We believe that it works, and there's a lot of evidence to support this. But think about things this way. If you are always thinking about the things that you don't have, then this is not going to make you happy, is it? Learn from the law of attraction. There are many definitions of the law of attraction. A simple definition is that what you focus on you will attract or manifest in your life. There's more to using the power of the law of attraction than just thought, but this is where it all starts. People that continuously moan and complain usually always find a lot of things to whine about. Have you ever wondered why this is the case? Well, it is the law of attraction giving these people what they want. The complainers send negative vibrations to the universe, and it responds by providing more negative things to them. So the reverse of this is to be grateful for the things that you already have. When you do this, you are creating feelings of abundance. You send positive vibrations to the universe, and it will respond by sending you more. By being grateful for what you have, you are focusing your thoughts and you are setting yourself up to manifest even more of the things that make you happy. You have already learned that gratitude is a very powerful emotion. When you express it, you generate very positive energy that will enable you to manifest more. Believe that gratitude creates abundance. The link between gratitude and abundance is something that a lot of people have a hard time getting their heads around. We are asking you to take a leap of faith here and believe that if you are grateful on a regular basis, then you will create abundance in your life. The positive energy that you create from being grateful will help you to align yourself with the universe to manifest abundance. Gratitude is very powerful and can help you to get everything that you desire in your life. You will see that as you practice your attitude of gratitude more and more, that your life will change for the better and that you will manifest more. Each time you express gratitude, you send strong signals to your subconscious mind. Your subconscious is all-powerful, and it will quickly recognize that you really appreciate having things in your life. So, you have two very powerful forces that will work for you here. The law of attraction, which responds to the vibrations, thoughts, and feelings that you send out when you are grateful for the things that you have in your life right now. And then there is your subconscious mind that will help you get anything that you desire if it believes that you are really serious about getting it. The signals that you send to your subconscious through your expressions of gratitude will help to convince your subconscious that you really want to receive more of what makes you happy. Negative thinking doesn't fit with abundance. If you are someone that thinks negatively about life, then you will never experience abundance. The two things just don't fit together. If you want abundance in your life, then you must make the transformation to positive thinking and being grateful for what you have now, and what you see around you is a great way to do that. As you develop your attitude of gratitude, you will begin to see some remarkable changes in your life. These can be changes in your career or business life, your health and well-being, the way that you feel and act, and your social connections. All it takes to see improvements in your life like this is to stop complaining about what you don't have and appreciate what you do have. This is a significant positive change that will set you on the path to abundance. Make a commitment to see your blessings as much larger than your problems. This will make you a lot happier and will develop a much more positive outlook for you. In time, you will believe that there is no problem in life that you cannot overcome and that no problem will ever make you think negatively about your life. We all have a positive energy that we can tap into when we need it. Most people find this hard to accept, but it is true. You are the result of your previous thoughts. If you had mainly negative thoughts in your life up until now, then what you have around you right now is a result of this. Abundance is all around you. The universe will always provide abundance. It is around you today and will continue to be there forever. You need to stop focusing on those small negative things in your life that most people seem to concentrate on. Getting all stressed out about having to take out the trash is not the way to go, but so many people end up thinking like this. So, if you find yourself having negative feelings about having to take out the trash, think about all of the food that you ate and the things that you have that resulted in the trash building up. Wrappers from food items and other things that you take for granted are all in the trash can. This may seem crazy, but it is a big first step towards gratitude and abundance. We all have limiting beliefs that define who we are and what we have. Maybe as a child you learned that money doesn't grow on trees, and this has led you to not having enough money in your life. Limiting beliefs can be changed, and when you start to truly be grateful for the money that you have now, it is a step in the right direction. The fact that you are grateful for this money, no matter how small, tells the universe that you want more of it. It also lets your subconscious mind know that money makes you happy. So, we are asking you to take on board that the world has inexhaustible resources that you can tap into by expressing gratitude. An attitude of gratitude will open up your life to all kinds of new opportunities that will lead to an abundant life. Abundance is real, and gratitude is the way to it. Developing a gratitude mindset. Most people do not have a gratitude mindset. If you don't currently have a gratitude mindset, then don't worry, because we're going to show you how you can develop one. With dedication and practice, you can develop one pretty quickly, so please listen to every word of this lesson and follow the advice that it contains. The benefits of a gratitude mindset. When you have a gratitude mindset, you will have a positive outlook on life instead of a negative one. Instead of being bitter and twisted about everything, you will see life in a much more positive way. Everything in your life will begin to look a lot better. In turn, you will feel a lot happier with where you are in your life and optimistic about your future. Does this mean that you have to put up with not having what you want in your life? No, of course it doesn't. If you have a mean boss, do not earn enough money, or have a partner who doesn't treat you right, then you can change all of these things. To make major changes in your life, you will need additional energy. A gratitude mindset will provide you with this extra energy. Being appreciative of what you have will move you closer to what you want. Your focus will improve, and you will not feel bad anymore about not having the things that you desire. With a gratitude mindset, you will see good in everything, even if it is a major problem for you. So many people become overwhelmed with problems and have a really tough time resolving them. If you see all problems as opportunities to develop yourself and are grateful for this, then solving these problems will be a lot easier for you. Making the transition to a gratitude mindset will change your life for the better. You will be able to move forward with total confidence, knowing that nothing will stop you achieving your goals. It really is worth the effort to develop a gratitude mindset. So let's take a look at some of the ways you can do this. Develop a gratitude mindset with these 4 methods. Sometimes life can make people ungrateful and pessimistic. Because of this, they are very unhappy with their life and are always focusing on the things that they don't have. Even if you find yourself in this situation, you can develop a gratitude mindset if you follow these techniques below. 1. Be grateful when you wake up. As soon as you open your eyes in the morning and get out of bed, get your gratitude hat on. A good technique here is to think about 3 things that you are grateful for. Make these feelings of gratitude as strong as you can. You do not have to think about major things in your life to be grateful for. The important thing here is that you have strong feelings surrounding the gratitude. So if you have a great friend in your life that has always supported you and helps you in every way that they can, then you can be grateful for this person. Why not be grateful for the fact that you have another day ahead of you when you wake up? Think about Monday mornings. A lot of people wake up on Monday morning and instantly become depressed because they have a full week of work ahead. When you have a gratitude mindset, you are grateful for life no matter what day it is. 2. Be grateful before you retire each night. Before you go to sleep at night, think about 3 more things that you are grateful for. Think about the things that happened over the course of the day and focus in on those things that you were grateful for. Maybe someone helped you out at work, or maybe you accomplished something that was a real challenge for you. If you cannot think of anything to be grateful for that happened to you during your day, then just take a look around you. You are in a nice warm bed and you have protection from your home. This is a great thing to show gratitude over. Be really appreciative that you have a roof over your head and that you are not outside in the streets. 3. Create and maintain a gratitude journal. Computers are great, but there is real power from writing things down on paper. When you come up with 3 things to be grateful for in the morning and at night, write them down in your journal. Also record how strongly you appreciate having these things in your life. It may take you a while to get used to writing down your thoughts each day in a journal, but the benefits are certainly worth it. If you are ever struggling for something to be grateful for, then open up your journal and look back over what you have done before. This is sure to inspire you. You do not need to go out and buy a fancy leather-bound journal. Any notepad type arrangement is fine. Don't put obstacles in the way that prevent you from starting a journal. As you make more journal entries, it will become easier for you and you will enjoy writing in it each day. 4. Express your gratitude to others. When you express gratitude for the things that you have in your life, you can conjure up very strong feelings that make you feel great. Another great way to experience these feelings is to show gratitude to the people in your life. When you are truly grateful to people, you will see how much they appreciate this, and it will really give you a lift. Tell your partner why you love them so much and watch their face light up. Express gratitude to a friend that has helped you recently and feel the vibe from them. The more that you show this gratitude to others and experience the feedback, the quicker you will develop your gratitude mindset. The other 3 methods will get you there fast as well, so make a commitment to embrace these techniques and be grateful on a consistent basis. Gratitude and empowerment. Can gratitude really empower you? Yes, it can, and you will discover how in this lesson. In the last few lessons, you learned that having an attitude of gratitude will make you happier and see the positive side of things in your life. When you are grateful, this will also help in social situations, as you will come across as a more compassionate and generous person. There have been plenty of studies showing that an attitude of gratitude provides physical and psychological benefits. When you practice gratitude regularly, it can help you to become healthier. Your immune system can benefit from your attitude of gratitude, and this will lead to other health benefits. It is very likely that you will have more energy for life when you start being grateful on a consistent basis. From a psychological perspective, having an attitude of gratitude can help you to understand that life is all about the moments that you experienced, and it is not about just reflecting on good or bad things. Let's say that you have been in a bad car accident and you have broken an arm or a leg. Instead of focusing on the pain and inconvenience of this, you will be grateful that you survived the accident and that you still have life. Gratitude drives optimism. With persistent gratitude, you will develop a much more optimistic outlook. It doesn't matter what problems come your way, you will always remain positive. You will have belief in yourself to the point that no problem, however large, will dampen your optimism for the future. People that do not express regular gratitude are far more likely to be pessimistic. When they are confronted with problems, they see this as some kind of punishment which fuels their pessimism. This is not a good place to be, but unfortunately, a lot of people are in this situation. See yourself in a better light. Another way that an attitude of gratitude empowers you is that it helps you to see yourself in a better light than you did before. When you focus on the good things in your life, you are far less likely to dwell on those things about you where you are coming up short. Of course, this doesn't mean that you cannot work on improving yourself. You absolutely need to do that. Your empathy will get stronger as you practice being grateful more. This will help you to avoid negative emotions such as jealousy when it comes to others. You will be able to recognize the achievements that others have made without conjuring up any negative feelings about this. An attitude of gratitude will give you more energy. In the fast-paced world we live in today, it can be difficult to summon up the energy that you need to achieve the things that you really want. By adopting a gratitude mindset and expressing gratitude on a regular basis, you will begin to experience a new energy within you. When you make the transition from negative to positive thinking, this is always going to make you feel more energized. You're going to have a lot of energy for a future life that you view with optimism than one that you are pessimistic about. After a while of regularly practicing gratitude, you will find that you are a lot more enthusiastic about life. Your attitude of gratitude provides you with a beam of energy similar to what you experience when you open your curtains in the morning and let the sun into your life. Gratitude can help you to find your true meaning. There's a lot more to life than just setting and achieving goals and pursuing various material things. With an attitude of gratitude, you will be able to find your path to self-realization. With a gratitude mindset, you will appreciate others more, and you never know, this could be your calling. Being able to support others is always a worthy thing to do. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't pursue your own goals, but finding time to be grateful to others will give you a great feeling inside. Gratitude will improve your social skills. After practicing gratitude for a while, you will notice that you possess more positive energy, and this will make you more popular with people because your personality will be a lot more pleasant and you will be seen as affable by others. The result is that you will make friends a lot easier than you were able to before. You will also be able to strike up much more meaningful connection with certain people, and who knows where this will lead. When you have an attitude of gratitude, you will become a more social person who is willing to help others and people will trust you a lot more. Other people will really appreciate the change in you, and when you meet new people, it is very likely that you will become friends with them because of your gratitude-driven personality. How you can learn gratitude. If you do not live a life of gratitude at the moment, then there's no need to worry. The good news is that you can learn gratitude, and that is what this lesson is all about. You will need to be prepared to apply what you learn here and put in consistent effort, but the rewards will be worth it as it will totally transform your life. Most people do not have a problem expressing gratitude when things are going well for them. But when they are having a bad time or even facing a crisis, most people do not even think about expressing gratitude. We want to emphasize that gratitude is a state of mind. It is nothing more than that. This is good news as it means that with a change of mindset, you can find a good reason to be grateful even when all around you seems to be falling apart. It doesn't matter how bad things appear. You can always be grateful for something. Always bear in mind that we are here for a relatively short time, and as long as we are alive and breathing, then this is something that we can easily appreciate. When things go really wrong in your life, which everyone has to face from time to time, with an attitude of gratitude, you will always believe that things will improve. If you know someone with an attitude of gratitude, watch how they conduct themselves and you will soon start to see a number of common themes and behaviors. People with an attitude of gratitude have realistic expectations. You can have the most detailed plans in the world, but you always need to accept that life rarely turns out the way that you expect it to. This is why a lot of top students in schools and colleges do not do any better in their lives than average students do. There are countless examples of people that you believe have less talent than you get the promotion that you deserved. Or maybe you knew someone at school that did badly and suddenly you discovered that they started their own business and are experiencing wild success. Nobody knows what the future holds for them. They can influence it to a large extent, and we strongly recommend that you do that. But you need to be prepared for those surprises that life often throws up. With an attitude of gratitude, you will always be able to see these things as opportunities and make the most from them. Unconditional happiness goes with an attitude of gratitude. People that practice gratitude don't set prior conditions for happiness because they know that they will not achieve this. A condition can be that you need to own a luxury car to be happy. If you don't have this car, then you will not be happy. Waiting around to get this dream car will just depress you. People that have an attitude of gratitude see good every day in their lives. They appreciate the small and big things in their lives, and happiness comes easy to them. So, if you want to be happy throughout your life, then you need to cultivate unconditional gratitude. Never base your happiness on wanting someone or something in your life. People with an attitude of gratitude know good comes with bad. You need to accept that in life, good comes with bad. When you do this, it will be far easier for you to be grateful for all the good things that you have in your life, while at the same time accepting that it is very likely that there could be a corresponding bad side to these things. So, for example, when you enjoy all that the summer brings, there is a reality within you that accepts that a cold winter will follow shortly afterwards. Or if it is pouring with rain outside, you accept that at some stage the rain will stop and the sun will come out and shine. Attitude of gratitude people are optimists. Once you get into the habit of expressing gratitude for the smallest things, you will find that any changes in your life will not faze you at all, no matter how significant they are. This is because you will be an eternal optimist and you will only need the merest glimmer of hope to be happy in your life. People that practice gratitude regularly are always optimistic about their future. They fully appreciate how far they have come in life and celebrate the small victories that they have achieved. Optimism is something that you want to welcome with open arms, as it is far better than pessimism that will drain you all of the time. So now you have the main learning points for developing an attitude of gratitude. By following these principles and practicing expressing gratitude regularly, you will find that all of these things easily slot into place. You can learn gratitude quickly and easily by following these principles, so keep on going and never give up. Developing the habits of gratitude. You have endless opportunities to express gratitude multiple times every day. What makes it difficult for everyone is that negative thoughts in their minds can prevent them from being grateful. When you experience negative thoughts, there is a tendency for you to focus your attention on these and let negative emotions such as anger, fear, and anxiety take over your life. Of course, sometimes these emotions are helpful to us by protecting us from real danger, but often they are irrational. The trick here is not to let them dominate you so that they become the driving force in your life and what you will experience. In order to overcome this problem, you will need to put in some consistent effort to break negative patterns and introduce positive ones that will give you a new perspective on life. It is going to take time to do this. You wouldn't expect to go on a diet for a day and lose all of the weight you want and keep it off, would you? We are talking about long-term changes here. So, we are asking you to commit to these changes so that you can develop your attitude of gratitude. With regular practice, you can make the changes in your life that you need, and they will then form a new habit which you will then have on autopilot. Always remember that no matter what is going on around you, there is always a chance for you to express gratitude. Even when you are extremely frustrated and disappointed about a situation, you will be able to see a reason to be grateful in it. Once you accept this, then you are really on your way to an attitude of gratitude. Developing habits for gratitude. When you decide to change any routine or behavior, you must accept that it is going to take time and persistence to develop this into a brand new habit. Think back to when you first learned to drive a car. You had to focus on many different things to travel safely for a short distance. Now you can drive hundreds of miles without even thinking about it. When enough time has passed, the new behavior or routine just becomes something that you do automatically. By leading up to this, you will have to put in the effort and make some difficult transitions, and you will often need encouragement and support. Do not underestimate the effort and attention to detail that you will need to develop a gratitude habit. Think about the end result here. There are so many benefits to having an attitude of gratitude, and you can use this to drive you forward and put in that consistent effort. There's been a great deal of research on the subject of gratitude, and some of the most notable benefits of this are: you will be aware of the abundance that already exists in your life. It will help you to have more abundance in your life. It will help you to minimize the stress in your life. It will make you a lot more optimistic about your future. It will provide you with an increased sense of community. It will improve your resilience to handling difficult events. It will increase your sense of emotional well-being. It will increase the amount of physical activity in your life. It will help you to sleep better. It will improve your physical health. It will reduce feelings of depression. It will reduce feelings of anxiety. It will give your immune and cardiovascular systems a boost. We recommend that you print this page or write down these benefits so that you can look at them every day to drive you forward to develop your gratitude habits. It is going to take time and persistence to create new habits, so having something like this list of benefits will motivate and inspire you. What happens if you do not follow through on your gratitude habit changes on a particular day? Well, you do not want to stress about this or beat yourself up. Just pick up where you left off the next day and try and be as consistent as possible. After a while, you will find that your gratitude habit becomes automatic for you. When you are trying to make real changes in your life, you need the patience and persistence to see them through. Developing good gratitude habits is no different to making any other change in your life. Just keep on practicing and you will reap the rewards. Here are 3 great gratitude habits you can start practicing right away. 1. Practice your giving. When you look around at society today, do you see many entitled kids and young people? One of the biggest barriers to gratitude is entitlement. A lot of people these days think that the world owes them, and if this is the case for you, it will be tough for you to be really appreciative about what you already have. You must overcome entitlement to develop an attitude of gratitude. The good news is that there are a number of ways that you can do this. One of the first things that you can do is to adopt a grateful attitude in your home. While you are doing this, you can teach your children the importance of gratitude and why it is much more important than entitlement. If you really want to be a good gratitude teacher, you need to engage in interactions and activities based around giving, sharing, and connecting with others, as opposed to doing things and always expecting something in return. While most people in the modern world will give thanks automatically, there is still a great deal of entitlement thinking going on. A lot of people these days live in a constant state of disappointment because they do not receive the things that they believe they are entitled to. So, practice giving without expecting anything back. It is foolish to believe that the world owes you anything. It doesn't. When you believe you are owed, you will experience a life of continual disappointment, frustration, and resentment. 2. Gratitude thank you notes. We have already mentioned that writing things down has a certain power to it. So another good way to break down entitlement and transition to gratitude is to write simple thank you notes for people. A lot of people have negative connotations about thank you notes. When they were younger, their parents pushed them to write long thank you notes to family members and other people expressing their gratitude about something. These notes had to be long because the parents felt that the person receiving the note would really appreciate this. If you were subjected to this, and many people were, then the thought of writing thank you notes may fill you with dread. It can overwhelm you and you end up procrastinating and not writing the note at all. Feeling obligated to write these kinds of notes is not a good thing, and you need to change your thinking here. What you need to do in this situation is move past the feelings of obligatory gratitude and transition to reflective gratitude. With reflective gratitude, you will take a step back and reflect on the event associated with the thank you note. Make sure that you experience all the emotions that happened at the time. This should help you realize the benefit of what the person has done for you. You can then write a thank you note from the heart, which will be very well received. A thank you note written in this way will have a significant impact on the receiver. A thank you note written when you are feeling obligated will have nowhere near the same impact. So just turn this around to reflective gratitude, and it will be a lot easier for you to write something totally sincere that the receiver will greatly appreciate. With these kinds of thank you notes, you will always get a response from those that receive them. This is excellent for your attitude of gratitude development, as you will see firsthand how your application of gratitude has affected those close to you. 3. Start a gratitude journal. Another great habit to cultivate on your attitude of gratitude journey is the use of a gratitude journal. We have already talked about this before, and it is something that we highly recommend you do. When you wake up each morning, think about 3 things that you are grateful for. Write these down in your journal immediately. Reflect on all 3 things and then write in your journal why you are grateful for each one. So, for example, you could be grateful for having a job that pays all of your bills and puts food on the table. Think about why this is important to you and then write this reason. An example could be, with the money from my job, I can take care of my family who I love deeply and ensure that they have good food and shelter. You need to write your own reasons down. Everybody is different, and what is important to you may not be as important to someone else, so resist the temptation to go searching for examples online. It is your gratitude journal and nobody else has to see it. So just be yourself, write in your language, and make sure that your feelings are really strong. Before you retire each night, think of another 3 things that you are grateful for and then follow the same process in your journal. This might be a challenge for you at first, but in a short time you will look forward to making your daily gratitude entries. A great benefit of a gratitude journal is that you can look back over it and reflect. It doesn't matter if you've been grateful for the same thing more than once. The important thing is that you have expressed your gratitude and committed it to paper. It will not take you awfully long to make your gratitude journal entries each day, so persevere with it. It will soon be an automatic thing for you to do. Practicing gratitude in your daily life. Now it is time to start practicing gratitude in your daily life. You can do this on your own or get others involved if you want. The most important thing is that you practice regularly. With patience and determination, you can develop your attitude of gratitude in a relatively short time. We encourage you to use the methods below every day so that you will start to transform your life for the better. Suddenly, you will see a number of opportunities that you didn't see before. You will also see great things in your relationship with others that you didn't previously notice, and you will start to feel really connected to others. Before we get into the methods that you need to practice, we need to tell you that some of them might make you feel a little uncomfortable, even embarrassed. It doesn't matter, just keep trying them anyway. See beyond a little discomfort to the bigger picture of transforming your life with gratitude. We are going to recommend that you meditate, and the first practices are around this. The art of mindfulness meditation is a great way to discover gratitude every day. If you have never meditated before, then you might find this challenging at first. But stick with it and keep refocusing your mind if it wanders. Okay, here we go. 1. Gratitude meditation. Find a comfortable chair in a quiet place and sit down in it. It is best if you close your eyes for this meditation, but if you prefer not to, then you can just use a soft gaze to the floor about a yard in front of you. Make your mind quiet and slowly start to concentrate on your breathing. Take a deep breath using your nose and direct the air to your heart. Now visualize your heart filled with a radiating, soft and violet light. As you take your deep breath, visualize the soft light in your heart changing to a pink color as it slowly combines with the violet light. When you exhale using your mouth, visualize a soft blue light moving away from the violet light and travel up through your body and out of your mouth. Each time that you breathe in, say softly to yourself, I am full of gratitude. And each time you breathe out, say, I give my gratitude to the universe. Repeat this cycle for around 4 to 5 minutes. After this, open your eyes or stop gazing at the floor. 2. Gratitude journal meditation. We have mentioned a gratitude journal several times in this training. If you don't have one yet, then now is the time to get one. Nothing fancy is needed, just a notebook that you can place near your bed. Before you retire each night, sit quietly and focus your attention on your breathing. Be sure to relax your head while you are doing this. Close your eyes or use a soft gaze to the floor and then take some deep breaths. Pay close attention to each inhale and exhale. Reflect on the events of the day. Visualize the events and focus on those that contained laughter, acts of kindness, or beauty. Notice how you feel as you focus on these things. What kind of thoughts are you experiencing? After reflecting on the events of your day, slowly focus on your breathing again and open your eyes or stop gazing. Now you need to write down the observations that you made in your gratitude journal. 3. Journal all gratitude. Begin to notice events of the day for which you are grateful. It doesn't matter if these are big or small things. It is far more important that you notice things rather than how big or significant they are. You could be grateful for a cup of tea or coffee, grateful to have a job, grateful to have good people around you, etc. Before you retire each night, write all of these gratitude points in your journal. Try to remember all of the moments of gratitude, but as a minimum record 3 things. After a week of making these entries, you can go through your journal and reflect on them. 4. Breathing focus. It doesn't matter how busy you are, you can always find a little time for some gratitude. To do this, just stop and focus your full attention on your breathing. Notice every inhale and exhale that you make. Once you are truly focused on your breathing, say to yourself, "Thank you for my breath," as an expression of gratitude that you have life. Try to do this at least once a day and a minimum of 3 times a week. 5. Use visual and audible reminders for gratitude. We all forget things because there is always lots of other stuff that we need to concentrate on. This doesn't help when you are trying to form gratitude habits. So, we recommend that you create and place visual reminders in your home and place of work so that you can keep on the right path. These visual reminders are there to prompt you to spend some time on gratitude. Some good ideas for visual reminders are carrying a small stone in your pocket or purse. Each time you see the stone, it will remind you to be grateful. Put a visual note on your walls, a wall in your office, in your kitchen and bathroom, which just has the words, "I am a grateful person." Use the alarm on your phone to remind you 2 to 3 times a day that you need to express gratitude. Create a visual reminding you to schedule short gratitude breaks throughout the day. Find a gratitude partner and remind each other of the need to practice gratitude throughout the day. 6. Gratitude in your family. If your family is willing to practice gratitude with you, then take full advantage of this. Use the gratitude benefits list to encourage them to do so if they are not sure. It will really help you to create an attitude of gratitude in your home. Here are some of the things you can do. With the help of your family, create a gratitude list. Find a good place, such as the kitchen, to place a whiteboard or a large piece of paper where all family members can write things that they are grateful for each day. Agree on a time each week when you and the family will go through the entries on the list and reflect. Every week, create a new list. 7. Written forms of gratitude. In a previous lesson, we discussed writing thank you notes expressing your gratitude using reflective gratitude rather than obligatory gratitude. We strongly believe that you should embrace this into your daily life by writing notes and letters that show your appreciation. Something that is written from the heart can have a lot more impact than the spoken word. The receiver of such a note or letter can hold on to this forever. Words only last for seconds, unless they are recorded. People tend to keep love letters from their sweethearts for this very reason. It doesn't matter if you've not communicated with someone that you owe gratitude for years. Imagine how stoked they will be to receive a letter from you after all this time expressing your gratitude to them. So, think about the people in your life, now and in the past, that have really helped you get where you are today. Take the time out to write them a gratitude letter. Reflect back to the time when they helped you. What did they specifically do, and how did that lead you to moving forward in your life? Tell them these things in your gratitude letter. Really let them know how their help and guidance has helped you. Want to make an even bigger impact? Deliver the letter to them personally and read it aloud to them before handing it to them. Get into the habit of writing your gratitude. Even small thank you notes can have a profound effect on the people receiving them. Take copies of all of the notes and letters that you write and keep them in a box that you can refer to on a regular basis. When someone does something for you, even the smallest thing, sit down and write them a thank you note as a minimum. For the people that have really had a major impact on your life, then a long letter is more appropriate. It may take you a while to get into the habit of writing letters and thank you notes, but it is something that we highly recommend that you do. So, make a commitment to write at least 3 thank you notes or letters every week to begin with. The power of gratitude in relationships. Most people live life at a frantic pace these days, and it is easy to take our loved ones for granted in this situation. So, we encourage you to take a moment and give thought to all of your important relationships and the times when you were truly grateful to each of these people. A lot of people make the mistake of assuming that their loved ones know what they are thinking or feeling. This is not a good idea, and you should always let those that you love into your life more so that they always know how much they matter to you. It is all too easy to drift through life on autopilot and stop being consciously aware of the people that really matter around you. Once your brain is programmed to conform to a specific routine, then it will direct your focus to that routine and not spend your energy on anything else much. You need to make an effort to change this pattern and become more consciously aware. Instead of constantly creating to-do lists and being a slave to those lists, It is important that you start to notice all of the nuances that you missed out on through your autopilot mind programming. Benefits of expressing gratitude in your relationships. Divorces and breakups seem to be at a record high in the modern world. On TV programs, you hear one partner say that the other didn't give them enough attention, so this resulted in them leaving or worse, cheating on them. Taking a partner for granted is a very dangerous thing and something that we highly recommend that you avoid doing. When you have an increased awareness of gratitude, this can really have a significant impact on your relationships. There's a lot of evidence to support that when you express gratitude to your loved ones through words of kindness, the giving of gifts, and so on, that you will nurture your relationship with them. Your relationships will grow stronger when you express gratitude regularly. So now that you know this, it is in your interest to understand how you can show your appreciation to the most important people in your life. Expressing gratitude in relationships goes beyond saying thanks. Of course, there's nothing wrong with saying thanks to your partner or other loved ones, but they will probably expect this as the norm and expect more from you. The secret to expressing gratitude in relationships with the spoken word is to ensure that you include your observations, how much you need the person in your life, and how you feel about them. When you get this right, you will make the connection that you have with the person so much stronger. So, what do we mean by observation? Well, there are a number of things that a partner will do for you that you do not acknowledge enough. Maybe they washed the dishes or opened a door for you. By letting a loved one know that you saw this and really appreciated it can make a significant difference in your relationship. Adding how their act of kindness made you feel is not a difficult thing to do. If they open a door for you, then just tell them that this made you feel special, or whatever the feeling was. Just think about the positive impact that their action had on you and how it made you feel. Telling people how much you need them in your life is not so easy. It can often be a challenge to acknowledge that you really need people, but of course, you do need them. You are always going to be affected by the people in your life, and when you can effectively tell them why you need them so much, then this will improve your relationships no end. Try not to restrict your gratitude in relationships to just the things that people do for you. Look for other opportunities to be grateful because they do exist. Think about how your partner is as a person, for example. Then tell your partner that you not only appreciate what they do for you, but who they are as a person as well. If your partner is a very thoughtful person, very compassionate, very generous, and so on, then tell them how much you appreciate these qualities that they have. They will really appreciate this and probably respond by telling you how much they are grateful to have you in their life. Gratitude best practices. We want you to develop your attitude of gratitude as fast as possible, and we recommend that you follow these 9 best practices. These best practices will guide you through your gratitude journey and help you to achieve your goals. 1. Many reasons to be grateful. Never view gratitude as a result of an exchange between a giver and a receiver. It is also not just connected to material things. Sometimes people will give you good advice, and you can express your gratitude to them for this. For example, think about all the things that you take for granted in your life. What about the fact that you wake up in the morning and have another day to live, or the people that you have in your life? There are always things that you can be grateful for. 2. Decide on what to be grateful for. Look for happiness in the things in your life that you have right now. Pay special attention to the small things in your life that you probably take for granted. Start to become more aware of nature and think about the food that you eat and the fact that you have a roof over your head, for example. Look at all of your problems as opportunities to grow and express gratitude for this. Most people let their problems overwhelm them and have a negative attitude about them. By appreciating your problems, you will become a lot stronger and wiser. 3. Gratitude leads to abundance. Developing an attitude of gratitude will open up more abundance for you. When you are grateful, you send positive signals to your subconscious mind and the universe. The law of attraction will manifest the things that you really want in life, and being appreciative of what you have will help you to manifest more. It is important that you believe that gratitude leads to abundance. You create positive energy when you express gratitude, and the more that you practice showing your appreciation, the more that you will notice how much better your life is getting. 4. Develop a gratitude mindset. The vast majority of people do not have a gratitude mindset. They take most things in life for granted. A gratitude mindset will make you a lot more optimistic about your future and help you to see the good in everything, even if initially things look bad. To help you to develop your gratitude mindset, always be grateful when you wake up in the morning and just before you retire at night. Start a gratitude journal and make entries in it every day. Be sure to express your gratitude to others as much as possible and use the feedback that you get from them to drive you forward. 5. Gratitude empowers you. Gratitude will empower you in more ways than you might think. It will provide you with a sense of optimism and help transition you from negative thinking to positive thinking. It will also help you see yourself in a better light and improve your empathy. With an attitude of gratitude, You will find that you have more energy than you did before, and you will be a lot more enthusiastic about your life. It will also help you to discover your true meaning in life. Your social skills will also improve with gratitude, and you will make friends more easily and create stronger connections. 6. You can learn gratitude. If you do not have an attitude of gratitude right now, then you can learn it. You will need to be prepared to make consistent efforts with your gratitude, and you will be able to express gratitude even when things are not going right for you. Grateful people have realistic expectations and are always prepared for the surprises that life often brings. When you have an attitude of gratitude, you will have unconditional happiness in your life. You will accept that good comes with bad and will be really optimistic about your future. 7. Develop gratitude habits. It is important that you develop gratitude habits. You can use these habits to replace your existing ones that do not support gratitude. Habits are going to take time to become automatic, so you will need to have patience and be consistent with your efforts. Gratitude brings so many benefits with it, including physical and mental health benefits. Write a list of these and use it to drive you forward. Practice giving to others, writing heartfelt thank you notes with reflective gratitude rather than obligatory gratitude, and start recording your daily gratitude in your gratitude journal. 8. Practice gratitude daily. Cultivate gratitude by practicing it daily. Use meditation to express gratitude. Reflect on the events of the day and record your gratitude moments in your journal before going to sleep. Use your journal to record as many of your gratitude moments as you can. Focus on your breathing and be thankful that you have breath. Use visual and audible reminders to prompt you to practice gratitude. Get your family involved in your gratitude journey and encourage their participation. Write gratitude letters and thank you notes regularly. 9. Use gratitude in your relationships. People tend to take the most important people in their lives for granted. Don't make this mistake or it can end up in tears for you. Don't assume that your loved ones know what you are thinking and how you are feeling. Let them into your life so that they know they are deeply appreciated. Using gratitude in your relationships is a lot more than just saying thanks, as this is expected as the norm. When you express gratitude in a relationship, include observation, how the person makes you feel and why you need them. Look at the important people in your life as people and express gratitude for their qualities. Conclusion. We've gone to great lengths in this training to explain to you what gratitude really is and the many benefits that it can bring you. Now, it is your turn. Please don't just go through this training and then do nothing. Use what you have learned every day to develop your attitude of gratitude. Once you have your attitude of gratitude, you will notice your life change significantly. You will have a far more optimistic outlook on life, and you will find that more good things come into your life. So make a commitment to lead a life of gratitude and start to develop your attitude of gratitude today.
Five easy things you can do today to declutter your home. If your house is currently a cluttered mess, you might find it surprising just how stressful that can be. When your home is in chaos, it means you don't have a safe retreat anymore, where you can relax and feel at ease. It means you can't kick back and unwind, because the plates on the side in the kitchen need washing, and there's dirty laundry all over the floor. You've been stressed all day at work, and now you've come home to a house that is equally as stressful. The good news is that it isn't hard to declutter your home, not when you know these 5 easy tricks. 1. Automate. The first thing we're going to do is automate some of the jobs that you find you don't have time for. One easy way to do that is with a dishwasher, which will allow you to stop doing the dishes yourself and to instead let a machine take care of it. Another example is a robotic vacuum cleaner. Or how about a waste disposal unit? 2. Outsource. Even better than automating work around your house is to outsource it. Give it to someone else. One way you could do this might be to hire a cleaner. Another might be to use a mail delivery service. Sound indulgent or lazy? Really, it just comes down to one simple question. How much do you value your free time? 3. Cut back. One of the easiest ways to declutter your home is to cut back. That means having less stuff. If you throw out 30% of your ornaments, you'll find that your surfaces are much cleaner and easier to clean. What's more, the remaining items will be things you really care about. 4. Introduce systems. Systems make everything simpler and easier. For instance, introduce a system for your letters so that you know exactly where to put unopened letters and what to do with them once they've been read. 5. Have one sacred room. Our last tip is to have one room in your home that is sacred. That means no matter what state the rest of your home gets into, you should have one room that is always going to be calm and well organized. To do this, you need to make some firm rules. No food in that room, for instance. This way, you'll always have at least one place that you can go to escape and unwind. How minimalism helps to reduce stress. Feeling stressed? Join the club. These days, it is more and more normal to feel stressed, to the point where many of us accept it as a simple fact of life. Unsurprisingly, though, this is not something that should be encouraged. We should not accept stress, and in fact, we should aim to design our lives with the aim of reducing stress as far as possible. And one way we can start to do that is to live a more minimal lifestyle. This presentation will help explain how that can help to remove stress in your life. One obvious way in which minimalism can reduce stress is by removing financial strain. One of the biggest stressors for many of us is our finances. We are stressed that we don't have enough money or that we're in debt. This in turn comes from living outside of our means. In reality, it doesn't matter how much you earn as long as you are earning enough to support your lifestyle. Live a more minimalist lifestyle, and you'll find that you can support that lifestyle with far less cash. And that immediately removes a lot of stress. What's more is that lowering the cost of your lifestyle also means you don't need to work quite so hard and don't need to keep aiming for more and more demanding jobs. If you find a level you're comfortable at, then you can stay there and just enjoy your spare time around that. Having less stuff can even help you to directly reduce stress. That's because clutter actually causes arousal. When there is a lot of stuff in your peripheral vision, that means there is more for your mind to attend to. That in turn means it needs to be alert, which the body interprets as stress. Just having a simpler environment can help you to unwind and relax more. But more than anything, a minimalist lifestyle means being content with what you have and being happy with who you are. It means knowing what's important to you and focusing on that. And if you can do that, then you can stop worrying that you have less than your friends and just be happy that you're healthy. If you want more now, you will always want more. The key to happiness and the key to beating stress is to learn to appreciate what you already have and stop worrying about what you don't. How to declutter your mind and prevent information overload. We are regularly told that we would be happier if we lived a slightly more minimal life, if we had a little less stuff, if we were less stressed at work, and if we turned our phones off occasionally. It's time to reconnect, focus on what is important, and just chill. But this is all easier said than done, especially during an age when we have more on our minds than ever before, and it feels as though everyone is constantly vying for our attention. How do you declutter and avoid information overload? Listen and find out. Let's start with decision fatigue, a phenomenon that sees the quality of our decision-making start to decline over time. This shows us that decision-making requires energy, and that with time, we can exhaust that energy. In other words, your ability to make decisions is finite, and so it's important that you apply a little resource management. This is hard when you consider the huge number of different decisions that you face on a daily basis, from what to have for dinner, to what to wear, to whether or not to go out. Expending energy on these smaller, meaningless decisions can actually leave you with less capacity to make the decisions that matter. How do you avoid this? Cut back. Famously, Steve Jobs attempted to reduce decision fatigue by actually wearing the same outfit every single day, thereby giving himself one less decision to make. Information, meanwhile, comes at us from every angle, though. Your phone is constantly ringing and beeping. You're probably working on a computer for a big part of the day. And walking down the street, you probably see a ton of billboards, ads, and screens. Every time this happens, your body is aroused and your attention diverted. This prevents you from enjoying a calm state of mind and means that you are much more likely to feel exhausted and overwhelmed by the time you even get into work. One tip: try turning down the brightness on your phone all the way. This can help you to cope with the addictive nature of pulling it out of your pocket to look for notifications. Another tip is to spend more time meditating each day. You can counteract all that noise and stress by taking a few moments every day to just let your mind be still and calm. How to fight the urge to buy unnecessary stuff. When you first decide to live a more minimal life, you will probably start by throwing out a whole lot of things and organizing what remains in a more coherent fashion. You'll feel good about yourself, and for a while, life will be a bit simpler. But that's the easy part. Unfortunately, minimalism isn't something you can do once and then move on from. Rather, this is a commitment that you need to maintain indefinitely. And that means resisting the urge to undo all your good work by buying lots of unnecessary stuff. In this presentation, we'll look at how you can resist the urge and maintain your minimal way of living. The one-in, one-out rule. One of the easiest ways to resist the temptation to buy everything you want is to create a one-in, one-out rule. This rule states that every time you buy something, you have to get rid of something else of equal size. This ensures that you never build up too much clutter, and it means that you will only ever want to add something to your collection when it represents a genuine improvement over your current belongings. Wait for it. Another useful rule to enforce is that you have to wait 24 hours between first deciding you want something and buying it. This is important because it prevents you from making emotional and impulsive purchases. Unfortunately, advertisers know exactly how to play us and make us feel like we need to take action right away. Thus, we buy things based on emotion rather than logic. If you go away and think about it, you'll often find that you actually don't need it after all. Write it down. Sometimes we get a strange feeling that if we don't buy something right away, then we'll somehow forget about it, or we'll lose our opportunity. It's like we have a pent-up energy that feels as though it must be released. How do you get around this? One option is simply to write down the things you want, or add them to a list. Each time you do this, you will get that sense of release, and that will make you a little less urgent in your need to splash the cash. Budget. Another useful way to restrict spending is to write a budget. Decide on how much you can spend on yourself each week, and then commit to not going above that amount. If you want to buy something big, you'll need to build up a few weeks' worth of budget. How to implement minimalism into work and business. When we speak of minimalism, your mind may turn to interior design. Or perhaps you think of a minimalist lifestyle in terms of reducing your unnecessary possessions so that you can gain more enjoyment from the things you own. Letting go of your material possessions and living like a monk is said to be highly liberating, and indeed it is. But minimalism can also be applied to other aspects of life, including science, and yes, even business. In this presentation, we'll take a look at how you can apply the principles of minimalism to your own life and start thriving as a result. What does minimalism mean in the context of business? Simple. It means removing what's unnecessary and focusing on what gets results. Minimalism means not overcomplicating your business with unnecessary procedures and protocol. And perhaps this brings to mind one culprit in particular, one famous time drain that affects many of our working lives: meetings. Meetings eat up a ton of time, and very often achieve very little. A meeting means taking time out of your day and out of the days of each member of your team in attendance. So if you have 5 people attending a 1-hour meeting, that's 5 hours you just lost. So the question should always be, could you communicate the same thing by email or phone? If the answer is yes, then don't hold a meeting. Meetings are just one example of what we call communication overhead. Other examples are emails, phone calls, and any other correspondence that takes time out of your main job. Communication isn't the only culprit, though, either. There are many other unnecessary processes and time saps that waste time and money for the average business. Another particularly bad example is micromanagement. If your team is forced to report in on every small decision it makes, or to go through red tape every time it tries to contribute, then you are wasting your talent and you are wasting time as a business. Then there are all those tiny jobs that take up time and make your business more complicated than it needs to be. Processes that could be streamlined, jobs that could be automated, and services that could be outsourced. It's time to focus on the one thing your organization does well, and to invest all your time and energy into accomplishing that in the most streamlined and effective manner possible. That is minimalistic business, and that is good business. How to travel the world as a minimalist. Many of us claim that we want to travel more, and we say that we live for our annual holidays. Why is it then that our actions so often seem to suggest otherwise? For many of us, it is a given that we will go on 1 or 2 holidays a year. That holiday will be expensive, extravagant, and with all the trimmings. And the rest of the year, we will work toward that one trip while also spending money on other things like big TVs, Netflix, and clothes we don't need. Is that really acting like travel is a priority? If travel were your priority, then surely you would cut back in other areas in order to make way for travel. Imagine if you didn't spend so much money on clothes, on cologne, on DVDs, on music, on gadgets, on eating out. Imagine if you had a more minimal lifestyle and you put the majority of your income towards saving for more trips. More to the point, imagine if you traveled in a way that was more minimal. That might mean you don't stay at an all-inclusive 5-star hotel. It might also mean that you're not going to the most far-flung corner of the world just because it's in vogue and it sounds great to tell people you've been. Imagine if, instead, you focused on visiting some of the places a little closer to home, because there are plenty of awesome things to see right on your doorstep. Imagine if you drove, or if you got cheap flights during the working week. Imagine if you slept on couches, using couch surfing, or if you stayed in Airbnbs. There are so many different options out there today that make travel incredibly affordable. And if you just went for a few days at a time, perhaps by spreading out your annual leave, then you could be visiting exciting countries and states pretty much every couple of months. This is what happens when you live a more minimal life, and when you focus on the thing that matters to you. If you really love travel, then stop cluttering your life with things you don't love. The world is out there to be explored, and it's far more incredible and beautiful than anything you might see on Netflix. Not a fan of travel? The same applies to just about any other endeavor. Hone in and focus up, and anything is possible. Quality over quantity. Whether you're talking about business, love, interior design, possessions, friends, or anything else, the words quality over quantity will always ring true. People are finite. We have limited time, limited money, and limited energy. You cannot be everywhere at once. There is a limit to how many relationships you can maintain, and there is a limit to how much work you can do. With that in mind, How do you get the most from what you have? How do you make the very best use of your time and energy? The answer always lies with focusing on quality rather than quantity. Let's imagine a home that is filled with 100 items, and each item is 1% beautiful. How does that room look? Terrible. It's a cluttered mess, filled with junk. Apart from that, it will be hard to clean, hard to organize, and nothing will stand out. Now imagine the same room filled with 4 items that are 20% beautiful. With the same space and the same money, you've accomplished something far more beautiful. The same is true in business. Faced with the option of creating lots of low-quality products or a few very high-quality ones, what do you think will be best for your long-term business aspirations? The latter option, of course, will help you to build more trust with your customers, to create more buzz about your future releases, and to lose less money on returns and complaints. Similarly, maintaining just a few great clients is always better than juggling hundreds and not really having enough time for any of them. In love, quality over quantity is even more important. Dating lots of people might sound good when you're bragging down at the pub, but it certainly isn't the best way to find happiness. More likely, it will result in quite the opposite. The same is true for relationships. Having too many contacts means we're stressed and spread thin. Having a few people we truly love means that we can enjoy deeper connections and lasting friendships. This is one of the central tenets of the minimalist approach to living and creating, and it almost always provides the best results. It can require patience and restraint, but if you aim to go deep rather than broad, then you will find that life is much more fulfilling and that you make a bigger impact on it. Top 5 books and documentaries about minimalism. Do you love the notion of minimalism? Does it make sense to you that cutting back on things can actually help to make you happier? Then perhaps you're eager to set out to learn more. And in that case, there are plenty of amazing resources to help you do just that. In this short presentation, we'll look at some of the best. Minimalism, a documentary about the important things. This is a fantastic documentary all about minimalism and what it means to live a minimalist life. It's a very well-produced film, and one that covers just about every aspect of what it means to live a minimal life. You can find it on Netflix, Amazon, the Google Play Store, iTunes, or at minimalismfilm.com. The 4-Hour Workweek. The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss is a fantastic book that explains how you can streamline your business in order to spend less time working. This was one of the first books on lifestyle design, and while it doesn't directly address minimalism, it does discuss many of the same principles, and is certainly a great starting point if you want to apply Occam's razor to your life. Vagabonding. Vagabonding is the book that inspired Tim Ferriss to write his book, and is another excellent tome for anyone looking to simplify their life. This book is all about cutting back distractions in order to spend more time traveling and living life. And even if you're not a fan of travel, you'll find this to be a book with many different useful tips that you can apply in other ways. The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying. The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying by Marie Kondo is a book that explains how to declutter your home, and tidying can actually make you much happier. This book took the world by storm, which is a testament to just how effective the tips contained within really are. The Simple Guide to a Minimalist Life. If it's a straightforward how-to for living a more minimalist life, then this is another great book that will help you to get started. The book takes a minimalist approach to everything, from its design to its structure, which keeps everything easy to follow and makes the useful tips within all the easier to grasp and apply. There are many more books and videos out there, though, so when you're done with this one, keep on reading and expanding your knowledge. What is a minimalist lifestyle? You might have heard people talking about living a more minimalist lifestyle. Perhaps you've heard that it can help make you happier and more content with what you have. And maybe you've heard that it can result in a better-looking home, or that it can support a freer lifestyle with more travel and less stress. But what exactly do we mean when we use the expression? How does being more minimal make you happier exactly? And how do you go about embracing that lifestyle for yourself? Essentially, the idea behind a minimalist lifestyle is simple. It hinges on the notion that you can be happier with less. Many of us believe that the more possessions we acquire, the more things we own, the happier we will be. This then motivates us to work harder, to take on more responsibility in our workplace, and generally to keep pushing forward. The problem is that possessions don't truly make us happier. In fact, they actually make us more stressed. The more you have, the more you want. And no matter how much you own, you'll always be comparing yourself to others who have more. We are motivated to fill our lives with more material possessions by advertising on television and in magazines, and by seeing people around us who appear to have more than us. Social comparative theory states that we base our happiness not on how much we have, but on how much we have compared to those around us. When we are constantly being shown images of highly wealthy people in flashy cars with expensive clothes, it makes us feel inadequate and thus unhappy with our own accomplishments and possessions. This motivates us to live outside our means, which means we have more to lose, and we have to work much harder to maintain what we have. In turn, that means that we can spend less time with our family and friends, less time on our hobbies, and less time doing the things that are important to us. Once you learn to live with less, though, you can turn all that around. The less you have, the more you value and enjoy what you do own, the lower your living expenses, the less you have to work, and the less stress you create for yourself. This is even apparent in interior decor. A minimalist home is one that looks spacious, light, and well-designed. Remove the clutter and focus on what really matters in your life. That is the ethos behind the minimalist lifestyle. Why less is more? How many items do you currently have on your Amazon wish list? When was the last time you bought something you didn't really need and then felt guilty about spending the money? Too many of us are under the impression that we need more to be happy. More money, more clothes, and more stuff. The reality, though, is that less is often more, and that learning to let go of your attachment to material possessions can actually make you a lot happier. In this presentation, we're going to address why less is more and what that actually means. When it comes to decorating a room, the objective is often for us to fill it with things we love, as a way to express who we are, and to make our room more familiar and more comfortable. At the same time, cool features impress friends, and they make our life that little bit easier. But do they? I want you to take a look around the room you're in right now, and imagine getting rid of half of the ornaments you have on display. What would the room look like then? In all likelihood, it would look bigger because it would have less clutter in it. At the same time, you would also find that the items that were left would draw more attention to themselves. You'd find that you could appreciate each item more, and the average quality of each item would be much higher, seeing as it wouldn't be lost among the things you were less excited by, that you would get rid of. Best of all, cleaning would now take a fraction of the time, and you'd find the room looked much tidier a lot more of the time. You'd spend less time dusting and more time feeling relaxed in a tidy, organized room filled with a few beautiful items. This all just goes to show that in terms of interior design, less truly is more. But it goes beyond that, too. Less can also be more when it comes to design in other areas. In graphic design, there is a maxim that says, communicate, don't decorate. That is to say that if something doesn't have a specific purpose, then it is surplus to requirement. Clear, concise communication is only achieved by removing the unnecessary trimmings. And if a minimalist approach can do all that, imagine what it can do when applied to your own lifestyle. Less truly is more, and as soon as you realize that, life becomes much easier to enjoy.
Introduction. There comes a time in every person's life when they have tried to make a change, and for some reason or another that change is unsuccessful. This can be profoundly discouraging, and even send us on a downward spiral. We are not prepared for the setbacks in childhood. We are generally given the impression that in order to have value, we have to do things right, and oftentimes we think we have to do things right the first time. What we don't always take into consideration is the fact that a very common and unfortunate part of being human is failing. Whether we think we have figured everything out or not, the unforeseen obstacles that seem to insert themselves onto our paths can sometimes take us by surprise. Sometimes the setbacks that we face seem insurmountable. We might begin to believe that we failed for a reason, and that there is no possible way that we could ever be the people that we want to be. We stop having confidence in ourselves and begin to believe in the worst-case scenario a lot more readily than we believe in the possibility of success. This can be dangerous for many reasons, and over the course of time, if we continue to feed ourselves the belief that we will never overcome our challenges and we are on a fast track to failure at all times, it can slowly begin to disintegrate our sense of self-worth. When we do not believe in ourselves, that can make it nearly impossible to function productively in our lives, especially when that means that we stop believing that we are even capable of productivity in the first place. Fortunately, there is a way for us to stop feeling sorry for ourselves and reclaim that lost motivation. It can be extremely difficult to get back on our feet after it seems like everything we were working for has been lost. But the only true variety of failure comes from not actually trying in the first place. If you give up for good, only then will you really have something to worry about. Humans are extremely hardy. We can bounce back from even the most difficult situations. If you feel that you have experienced a major difficulty and you are having a hard time getting your footing, this training will prove to be a valuable guide. It will help you to remember that you are made of strong material, emotionally and mentally. And in that way, you will be able to succeed. It is possible for all of us to rise from the ashes, no matter how difficult the situations we find ourselves in may seem at the time. Sure, it is defeating to face failure, but the truth of the matter is that we can always learn to see negative situations in a positive light. Without that sort of flexibility, it can be difficult for us to achieve things in life that we want to achieve. And it can make it especially hard for us to move on when we find that we are not making the progress that we think we should make. Whether you are suffering from emotional or material setbacks, it is possible for you to get back on your feet and thrive. This training will show you how. All you have to do is believe in yourself and remember that it is truly possible. Let's begin. Processing and accepting your challenge. This may seem simple, but the first step to overcoming your failure and rising from the ashes is to accept the fact that you were not able to achieve the goal in a manner that you were hoping. Whatever it is that you did not succeed at, that is in the past. It does no good to overfixate on your failures, especially when they are related to feelings of inadequacy and desolation. Those feelings can be very consuming, especially when you are very invested in the project that didn't work out. Acceptance can be a very difficult thing to master, especially if you're in the habit of being very hard on yourself. Unfortunately, most of us are, and this can prove to be detrimental to our emotional and sometimes mental health. That is why it is so important to come to terms with the event that is getting you down in the first place. Whether this is a failed project or the result of a difficult phase of life, it is time to examine what happened to you and try to find an objective point of view about it. Do not make the mistake of believing that your failure defines you. On the contrary, the only thing that defines you is the way you handle yourself in the face of adversity. That is when we find out what we are really made of. Unfortunately, many of us are programmed from an early age to believe that if something is hard or doesn't come easy to us, or if we fail at something, then we are just not good at it. Perseverance is something that is usually not taught in most schools or households, except by example, and those examples can be sadly rare. Do not blame yourself for feeling crushed under the weight of your challenge. This is a natural reaction to have. It is far worse to punish yourself for failing to put yourself through the ringer for being affected by that failure. Instead of punishing yourself, allow yourself to feel the things you were not fully letting yourself feel. Try to understand that grief is a common feeling when you have lost something, and don't be afraid or feel silly for expressing those feelings. Consider the event that has discouraged you from all angles. Try to journal about the way it has made you feel. If you need to, you could even consider speaking to a qualified professional who can help you to sort out the difficult feelings related to this event. This can be especially helpful if you have experienced some variety of trauma. Sometimes, traumatic events can make it that much more difficult to succeed. So working through them can be a great way to equip yourself with the tools and fortitude that sometimes needs to be developed in order to succeed. Once you have been able to make peace with your failure, and have stopped blaming yourself and feeling resentful and embarrassed about it, instead beginning to see the event as objectively as possible, you will begin to create the mental mind space you need to move forward. Instead of wasting time and energy being stressed about your past failures, you will be able to learn from them instead and begin to grow and prepare yourself for a life of success. Understanding what is holding you back and facing your fears. Now that you have begun to accept the way your challenge is not actually a death sentence and actually something you were able to look at with more objectivity, it is time to look back on this journey objectively and begin to understand what it was that was the most challenging for you. When you are able to truly dissect what the hardest part of the situation you were in happened to be, then you will be able to further steel yourself against failure in the future. The first step in doing this is to be willing to answer hard questions. Ask yourself about what part of the process was the most difficult for you to deal with. Why? How did you feel when dealing with these setbacks? How long have you been battling with these feelings? Have you done anything to address these thoughts and feelings? Or have you been dealing with them in silence? Journal your answers, because sometimes we are able to learn much more about ourselves and go in depth about these things in writing. It can be very revealing, because we become introspective and thoughtful about the question at hand. To truly understand why we act the way we do, it can be helpful to identify patterns of behavior that we can then address, and journaling is a good way to do that. It is a great way to begin to really consider what it is that holds us back. The second step is in learning to face your fears. Instead of being intimidated by the things that you are worried about, remember that you are not the first to deal with these kinds of challenges and setbacks. Each of us has quite a tally of setbacks under our belts. And you might just be able to find somebody out there or even a whole group of people who can offer their support and advice. It can help to look online for communities of people who have experienced similar challenges as you have. There are bound to be many others who have dealt with the same issues you have, even if their stories are a little bit different. If you speak with others who have been in the same boat as you have, it can be very encouraging. They may be able to offer advice and strategies to cope with the kinds of things you were dealing with. And it is inspirational to see people who have dealt with the same setbacks find their footing again. If you have begun to believe you are not capable of succeeding, or you are simply feeling afraid to take the next step, speaking with someone who has been through what you are going through and survived it can really give you the added encouragement you need in order to launch yourself over your mental block and begin to make real progress. It is unbelievably important to make sure that you are not being too hard on yourself. Sure, you may be in a hard place, but that doesn't mean that there is anything wrong with you. In fact, believing that your failure is an indication about your worth is the fastest way to make yourself needlessly miserable. Instead of staying stuck in your head and believing that it is because you don't know how to do anything right that you found yourself challenged, instead, begin to see that most of the reasons you are feeling bad about yourself have to do with your fears of failure. But failure doesn't define you. In fact, it can be a great way to grow and learn. To begin with, start to consider the things that you are afraid of. Now that you've experienced your challenge and may have already experienced the worst-case scenario head-on, you are likely to have encountered many hidden fears. Instead of letting those fears oppress you, bring them to light by identifying them. Again, a journal can come in handy in this situation. In a journal, try to list the fears that your challenge has brought to light. It will be a relief to be able to identify them. And once you have identified them, then it is much easier to address and overcome them. You can even designate a specific journal toward expressing your fears in writing when you feel as if you are overwhelmed by a scary situation. That way, you will begin to realize that you actually do have power even when you don't feel like you do. Some fears may even be irrational fears that have developed because of anxiety. Realistic fears can be managed and prepared for, while irrational fears can be seen for what they are. The fears you write about will become less imposing in your mind as you allow yourself to process them and face them. Once you sense a fear, whether irrational or rational, creeping up in your mind, you can journal about it and or counter it with a mantra. For irrational fears, you might want to say something to yourself like, "This fear is irrational, and I am going to be okay." While rational fears can be met with a mantra such as, "Whether this situation happens or not, I can prepare for it and be stronger for it." Peace of mind is the greatest gift you could give yourself. Accepting adversity as a normal part of life. Something that most of us tend to forget as we go through life is that we are never going to get things perfect the first time. When we do, it is either a fluke or simply a gift. For the most part, we are stuck having to learn, and the learning process takes time, and sometimes more than others, that time can feel like an eternity. Especially when we put pressure on ourselves and thinking that in order to have value, we have to make sure that we succeed at everything, all the time. A lot of us don't learn that adversity is something we should come to expect. Rather than expecting it, we fear it, and do everything in our power to avoid it at all costs. This can make it extremely challenging for us to learn how to solve problems and overcome obstacles, which may lead to an even greater difficulty in coping with setbacks. That is why it is important to change your mindset and begin to accept and even expect adversity. If we accept the fact that we are never going to be perfect, then this can be much easier to do. However, many of us experience demanding authority figures throughout our lives that lead us to believe that if we are not excelling, then we are less valuable. It is a dangerous trap that we find ourselves in, but all of us are able to overcome it if we know how and are willing and able to put our minds to it. The first thing you have to do is to stop being so hard on yourself when you struggle. Struggling is a normal part of life. Everybody who was born struggles somehow. In fact, the second we are born, most of us begin to cry because what we experienced was a struggle. But it was one that our mothers were able to face, and for our sakes, they overcame it the best that they could. And we were also along for the ride during an experience that was difficult for everybody involved. That should prove to be a lesson to us all. We are born struggling, and we are not going to stop struggling. In fact, we should change our attitude about struggling rather than trying to be perfect all the time. It creates unnecessary anxiety surrounding the process of learning and having to work hard to achieve the things that we want to achieve. For people who find it difficult to accept inadequacy, struggling can be that much more anxiety-inducing. People like this are often the most driven to succeed, which makes the challenge of rising to the occasion that much more difficult. However, it should be an accepted fact of life that nothing worthwhile comes easily. We should expect to be challenged and rise up to face those challenges without defining ourselves based on whether or not we succeed at a goal. It is how we respond to failure that truly defines us. If we don't have the mental toughness that we need in order to bounce back after meeting an unexpected challenge, then we may find ourselves shriveling at the first sign of resistance. It does not make you a weak person to have to take time and energy to achieve your goals. And it does not make you a weak or worthless person to have goals that were difficult or impossible to reach. Sometimes you may achieve your goals through many years of hard work and labor, and countless challenges. Other times, sometimes the goal is not meant to be reached, and that is that. You have to learn how to define your own definition of success, and try not to subscribe to society's interpretation of what you should be doing and how to define yourself as a success. By accepting that failure is a part of life and learning how to integrate it into your learning process, then you are going to stop putting so much pressure on yourself to succeed and linking your sense of self-worth with whether or not you are able to achieve your goals. Sure, goals are important things to have, but so is a strong sense of self and confidence. You should be confident enough to look a challenge in the eye and even a failure and accept the fact that you are where you are for a reason. Sometimes that reason is to help you learn something, and other times that reason is so that you can achieve the goal and move forward from there. No matter which direction your life may take, your time is not wasted unless you begin to dwell on the things that could have been rather than focusing on a plan for your future. Make yourself a promise that rather than dreading failures and setbacks, you will begin to expect them. In fact, you should learn to embrace them because they will provide you with insight about your plans and your own biases that you would never get elsewhere. Once you are able to look at failure as something that is bound to happen at some point, you will stop taking it so personally when it does happen. Half the time, the hardest part about failing is not expecting it, while the second hardest part is trying to recover your losses. If you always have another plan ready, and you are doing everything in your power to make your goal a reality, then you have nothing to feel sorry about. Sure, you might have some time and resources wasted, but that is nothing compared to the hours of agony you will be sparing yourself by understanding that failure is simply another part of life, and it is always better to count your blessings and move on. Viewing mistakes and setbacks as learning opportunities. Now that we've begun to process the way that we have been affected by our challenges and setbacks, it is time to begin to redirect our minds so that we begin to understand just what it is that is holding us back. Not only that, but we will be able to fully view these setbacks as an opportunity rather than as a determining factor in the rest of our lives. When we make the mistake of overthinking the significance of a failure in our lives, it can become extremely dangerous. We should never equate ourselves with our achievements. There are times we will do well and times we will not. There are plans that we will succeed at, and there are times we will not necessarily achieve our goals. Whether we are able to achieve the things we most value in the moment or not, our definition of success should not necessarily be perfection. None of us are perfect. That is not realistic. You will make things much harder on yourself and stress yourself out needlessly if you try to measure up to impossible standards. Instead, do everything in your power to shift your belief system so that you are able to redefine success as something that makes sense to you. It doesn't mean the conventional standards of success. You don't have to have a huge house or a beautiful condo or the family with a white picket fence. What you have to do is define something that truly makes you feel fulfilled and a sense of value that can come only from within, not from without. It can be very dangerous to try to associate your sense of worth with outside material possessions or measurements of success that rely on other people's interpretation of you and your intentions. The last thing you want to do is to fall into the trap of believing that you are not the one who determines whether or not you should feel good about yourself. It is always a bad idea to put control over your self-worth into the hands of somebody else. Nobody wants to believe that they are worthless. But it is far more easy to believe that you are worthless if you are basing your sense of worth on the wrong things. Instead of defining your success based on these types of things, instead, begin to realize that you are not unsuccessful at all. The only thing that makes anybody unsuccessful is when they give up on themselves and stop believing that they will ever be able to achieve the goals that mean the most to them. It can be very difficult for us to get over making a mistake. That is partly because we are programmed to believe that our sense of self-worth should be derived from doing well, based on other people's standards. This type of conditioning begins right at school and follows us throughout our careers. We have to make sure that we are doing everything right before we are rewarded, and this begins to change the way we view ourselves. The thing about that is that everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has a difficult time adapting to other people's standards, and unfortunately, achieving goals can take a lot of work, and may entail jumping through a lot of hoops that have to do with other people's standards and interpretations of success. This can be very draining emotionally and taxing, even physically. Your resources may end up feeling very limited, along with your ability to feel good about what you are doing. But instead of feeling like a failure because you have made mistakes, and these types of difficulties can be excessively hard to navigate, instead, try and view all of your mistakes as learning opportunities. Nobody is going to do every single thing perfectly the first time around. Life is all about learning and taking risks that you know you're not necessarily going to land on your feet with. And sometimes falling down can be the hardest part, but it can also be the most rewarding. Without mistakes, then it is almost impossible to move forward. You have to make them in order to navigate the difficult terrain ahead of you. And mistakes like this are never as bad as they feel. Of course, it cannot be helped that you feel badly about making mistakes. This is natural. However, it is always better to believe in yourself and do everything in your power to remember that no matter whether you fail or succeed, your goal is yours alone. And you have the power over whether or not you approach this with a level head and an objective attitude. Staying objective is a great way to view mistakes from a very proactive angle. When we do this, we are allowing ourselves to utilize all of the information that we receive from our mistakes. We see things about our strategy that don't work, and things about our strategy that have worked. We see things that we could utilize further and apply to the achievements of other goals. We see things that should be cut out from the process altogether. However, sometimes we are very blinded because we are personally invested in the success of our goals, and this can prove to be challenging. Of course, setbacks can hurt, but the best thing that you can do for yourself and for your goals in general is to learn how to see them from an objective standpoint. Only then will you be able to truly understand just how important it is to make mistakes along the way. No matter how big your mistakes feel, there is always a chance for redemption. It is never too late. Just keep trying to learn about yourself and your process along the way, and everything will turn out fine. Changing your negative thought patterns. We mentioned in the last video that oftentimes we are the victims of biases in our own lives. When this is the case, sometimes we do not fully see ourselves the way we truly are, and we find that there are no faults in our thinking. This type of mentality can be very destructive because all of us make mistakes. All of us are human, and none of us have all the answers. That means that it can be very difficult for us to pinpoint when we have a negativity bias. We all have this. All humans tend to value negative information more highly than we value positive information. Interactions that leave you feeling horrible are often weighed and interpreted as more important than interactions that leave us feeling pretty good about ourselves. As horrible as this may be, it is just the way the human brain operates, and it can be extremely detrimental to our mental and emotional well-being. Fortunately, there are ways that we can begin to change our thought patterns so that we are no longer stuck dwelling on negative thoughts and situations. Sometimes this can require a significant amount of counseling or therapy. But what is the most important here is that you do what you truly have to do in order to move on from your negative thought patterns so that you can succeed in this life. The first thing that you have to do to change your negative thought pattern is to accept that you have one. If you are not able to identify the fact that you have a negative thought pattern, then you will never be able to address it. Sit down and really think about what it is that makes you feel bad about yourself. Think about the things in your life that you could be viewing with a more optimistic lens. A lot of the most successful people in this world have sworn by positive affirmations and mantras, simply because negativity can be so overwhelming, and we can become easily discouraged when we are faced with a lot of negative information. This can be especially difficult for us when that negative information relates to us and what we identify as our successes or failures. We take these kinds of things personally, whether or not we know objectively that we shouldn't. And it's hard, too. We are spending so much of our time and energy working toward a specific goal. It can hurt us deeply when we realize that our struggles and our efforts seem to have amounted to nothing. Not only does that hurt us emotionally, but it hurts our pride. We do not want to believe that we have wasted all of this time and energy on something that will not become what we wanted it to. It's important to address your negative thought patterns. Everybody has a hard time maintaining a positive outlook sometimes, but you have to be able to train yourself to switch your mindset from negative to positive. This is where the mantras and positive affirmations can really come in handy. If you have a word or phrase that you can close your eyes and repeat to yourself when you start to feel overwhelmed by a certain type of situation, it can disrupt your negative thoughts and retract your mind towards something more positive. This is exceptionally important because not only does it help you feel a little bit better, but it physically begins to rewire the neurons in your brain. The way we think becomes habitual and cemented in our neural pathways. We begin to have unconscious impulses toward one reaction or another. This is why trauma can be so extremely damaging. When we are used to having negative sensory input all the time, we may begin to react negatively to things that don't necessarily warrant that type of reaction. We are out of control of our own synapses. And this can be very detrimental when you are attempting to achieve any goal whatsoever. Whether you have trauma or not, the fact remains that the brain begins to create familiar pathways in the brain that help us to understand how to process the information that we receive. If we begin to interpret our setbacks as opportunities rather than reasons to feel horrible about ourselves, then we are able to interpret the neural pathways as they fire off down the line and reroute them into a more healthy approach to achieving our goals. This can be done for anything. If you are feeling overwhelmed by any situation, instead of dwelling in that emotional addiction that your neurons have created for you, then you should do everything in your power to distract yourself from those negative thought patterns. Close your eyes and take a few breaths, and then think about one of your mantras. For example, if you are feeling overwhelmed because you feel as if you will never achieve anything of value in your life, take a deep breath and close your eyes. And tell yourself, yes, I will achieve the things that I set out to achieve, even if it takes a lot of work. This will help you to retrain your brain to begin to accept adversity as a normal part of life, and not something that will ultimately determine that you are not worth success. There is a reason that there are so many books out there about how powerful it can be when you change your mindset to become more positive. It can be so easy to become overwhelmed by the negative information surrounding us all. But when we are able to truly transcend these self-imposed limitations of our minds, the success we can achieve is incredible. The best thing you could ever do for yourself is to begin to rewire your brain to have a more positive outlook, especially when it comes to achieving your goals. That way, you will be able to move forward in your life and truly begin to succeed. Stop fearing the future. Every year as we grow older, many of us begin to look at our birthdays with dread. The same can be true of the end of the year, when everybody is celebrating a new beginning. A lot of us have a tendency to feel negatively about these hallmarks of our lives, because we feel as though we are aging and we are losing something rather than gaining it. If we are willing and able to understand that the future isn't a bad thing, it can change everything. This can be very difficult though, especially if you have experienced a lot of negative experiences in the past. You have become conditioned to believe that negativity is an unavoidable part of life, and that no matter how difficult things are now or have been in the past, it is possible for them to get even worse. This can cause us to begin to suffer from an extreme anxiety about the future, especially when it comes to achieving goals. If you have become comfortable identifying yourself as a failure, this can be especially true. When you think you are only good for messing things up, then of course you will have a hard time looking forward and believing that there will be anything of worth for you to find there. Sure, you may have a small light of optimism when you look ahead, knowing that one day you will definitely achieve something special. But when you stop and take a look at the rest of your life, sometimes what you may find is that you have not changed from the time when you began to repeat this cycle. All of us want to have the hope that we will make things better and that we will truly achieve something special. All of us have the potential to make those dreams a reality. However, we have to stop fearing the future and actually begin in the present to make plans that are changing us every day, little by little, so that we are truly able to succeed. A wise person once said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So, if you are afraid to look to the future and to try and see the positive opportunities awaiting you there, consider what you have done in the past and the patterns that you have followed. What got in your way before? What was it that truly stopped you from continuing onward and doing something special? A lot of the time, the only answer that is truly clear-cut and defined is ourselves. We get in our own way. We overwhelm ourselves with fear and negativity and become immobilized rather than energized to move forward. It can be so difficult to succeed when we are typical humans with typical emotional lives. Emotions can be such an overwhelming and inhibiting thing, and yet, it is a necessary part of life for us to have. It is not a bad thing to feel. It is actually much worse to try to deny that you have feelings at all, because then they turn into unconscious difficulties and challenges that make success that much harder to accomplish. That is why it is so important for us to begin to process our emotional lives and take the time out of our day to meditate and think about the way that we have been affected by events throughout our day. We need to be able to be in total control of ourselves, emotionally and physically. Exercise can help here too. It can give you the confidence boost that you need to really believe that you are capable of accomplishing something special. You are able to make small, gradual changes that ultimately result in something powerful. When we are able to take these small steps toward empowering ourselves in our lives, it can be that much easier to stop fearing the future. We have to understand how much power we have in the here and now. When we start to make progress toward accomplishing little goals that make us feel good about ourselves and make us truly understand that there is a payoff to hard work, even if it is difficult to see at the time, then we will have a much clearer image of what it is that we want our future to look like, and we are going to get there. It is important to have a relationship between yourself and your power. You do have the power to make changes in your life, and you do have the power to change the way that the future is shaping up for you. If you understand this and allow it to really resonate in your mind, then you are going to have a great deal more confidence. Taking those small steps to improve your vision of the future is important. You need to allow yourself to become excited for new opportunities that will arise. You need to stay on the alert and always looking for these things rather than letting them slip by you. The future is huge, and it is full of so many great opportunities. The variables to our destiny are limitless, but we have to be willing to take the first step toward achieving the goals that will get us there. Creating a vision board can be an extremely helpful way for you to begin to embrace the future. If you look at the things that you want to accomplish and the small ways that you can begin now that will carry you forward into your future and help you to achieve whatever goal you have in mind, then you are going to have a greater chance of success. Don't let the future get you down. All of us are doing our best, and all of us have the opportunity to embrace our future and turn it into an opportunity rather than a burden. Begin taking the steps to do so today. You will be glad that you did. Laying the groundwork for success by working on Plan A and Plan B. The one thing that most of us can agree on is that there are no guarantees in life. Sometimes there are things that seem definite, and yet they still manage to fall through somehow. This can be very jarring and discouraging, especially to somebody with a sensitive disposition that may not have a lot of self-confidence. Self-confidence can be a tricky thing to master, and even the seemingly most self-assured people can struggle with self-doubt. However, overcoming self-doubt is something that can be done. Although it may not abolish anxiety entirely, it can be possible for all of us to have confidence in our abilities. The more confidence we have, the more objective we will be when it comes to facing failure. In fact, successful people redefine failure. They don't consider failure to be something that is permanent. Rather, failure simply means that Plan A didn't work, and now it's time to move on to Plan B. This can be tricky for a lot of people. They get very attached to their goals and to their way of going about achieving them. Nobody likes the idea of wasting time or feeling as if they've done something wrong. Some people are more sensitive to this than others, and it is being suggested in several studies that children who are blindly encouraged for doing well at things that everybody else does well at might take failure much harder than those who are instead encouraged to keep trying and continue their efforts in order to actually accomplish their goals. That isn't to say you shouldn't coddle and encourage your children, but there is evidence to show that when faced with challenges, people who are not encouraged to continue trying and keeping up the hard work have a much harder time in processing failure. People who understand that failure isn't permanent have a much higher rate of success. These people are able to consider their goals at all angles and think ahead. They are willing to see the potential challenges that may arise and the ways that they may fail before they even begin. They are willing to look at all of the negativity as a way to strategize around it and provide themselves with a foolproof plan toward getting what they hope to accomplish done. One important way that successful people succeed is by having many plans of action ready at the drop of a hat. They don't simply choose one path and take it and consider that the only way that they will ever achieve their goal. They remain flexible and adapt to many different types of challenges that face them along the way. They don't get discouraged because one particular route didn't work out. Instead, they try another, and then another, until they have fully determined that all of their options are no longer on the table and they have to move on to Plan B. Sometimes Plan B can be simple and a new way to approach this same problem. Other times, Plan B may be the admission that perhaps this particular goal or challenge may not be something that can be overcome. In that case, Plan B is a new plan or new goal to focus energy on until maybe things change and Plan A becomes an option again. Successful people do not get stuck. They do not stay stagnant. They do not dwell. They are constantly rolling and moving with the tides and are unable to sit still long enough to feel sorry for themselves. They are able to process their emotions quickly and efficiently because they have a lot of confidence in themselves and a good emotional relationship with themselves as well. They do not stay stuck in the emotional rut that so many of us become subject to. Once we are truly processing our emotions at this level of efficiency, then it will become easier for us to consider our options clearly. Instead of sitting down and believing that your first plan of action is the best and only possible plan of action to take, sit down and consider all kinds of different options. Never limit yourself to just one potential plan. That is one of the most dangerous things that you can do, especially when it comes to business. Any goal that you want to accomplish, you need to already assume that there are going to be setbacks and challenges for you to consider. There is never only one option. You always have to keep in mind that there are many different ways to get from point A to point B, and sometimes that includes resorting to plan B or C or D. There is nothing wrong with that. You are not a failure because plan A didn't work out the way you expected or hoped that it would. Rather, you were brave for attempting it in the first place, and smart to be prepared with other options should your first plan not work out. The fastest way to failure is to limit yourself by tricking yourself into thinking that you only have one option. There are many different paths to success. As long as you don't give up until there is absolutely no other option, you will get where you want to be. And if you have to change your plans or your definition of success, then so be it. You are in control of your destiny, and you can pick yourself up off the ground and rise above the ashes to thrive. Surrounding yourself with moral support. Every once in a while, no matter how difficult things might seem, talking to someone else can give us a whole new perspective that helps us to get our minds around difficulties when things seem to be at their worst. There are difficulties that plague us all, but more especially when we are driven to succeed and we have not allowed ourselves to build up a proper support network. A support network is important to have for many reasons. First of all, it provides us with a group of people who are genuinely invested in our success. They are there for us when we are feeling insecure, and can oftentimes offer advice and counsel when things are starting to feel rough. Having another perspective to bounce your point of view off of can be a very good way to stay motivated and provide yourself with other people who can remind you that you are working towards something that is realistic and attainable. Another good reason to have a support network is to help you to hold yourself accountable to your success. When you are surrounding yourself with supportive people who will ask you all the right questions and know that answering those questions will help you to keep track of your progress, then you are more motivated to keep on track and not slack off when it comes to achieving your goal. So how do you choose your support network? You begin by making sure you are not communicating with toxic people. Removing yourself from toxic influences is the fastest way to make sure that you are working in your own best interest. A lot of the time, we don't even realize just how stressful other people can be. Our environments are easily influenced by the people in them. So, as a rule of thumb, it is best to make sure that you are only surrounding yourself with people who want to be encouraging. How do you identify a toxic person? Toxic people tend to have an aura of negativity about them. Many of them complain a lot, while others might find fault in everything you do. Some toxic people like to hurt others on purpose to derive a sense of self-worth, and others may find it entertaining to poke holes in all your plans and tell you all the ways things are doomed to fail. If you can identify toxic behavior in anybody in your support circle, chances are high they are not there to be genuinely supportive. Do not hesitate to distance yourself from toxic people. It is the best thing you will ever do for yourself, whether you are building a support network or not. You benefit greatly from removing toxic influences from your life. It can be very difficult, but it is always worthwhile. The greatest things in life are more easily accomplished with a support of people who truly want to encourage you and who find joy in your success, as opposed to sick satisfaction in your shortcomings. It can also be beneficial when it comes to your support network to choose people who are already successful in the ways that you would like to be successful as well. These types of people are often full of friendly advice and pointers, and will know exactly what kinds of challenges that you are going to be facing. It can be extremely validating to speak with somebody who has gone through similar experiences and found themselves in the same place that you might be. It has been said that you start to take on the attributes of the people that you spend most of your time with. It is no secret that humans are pack animals, and we have a tendency to turn to social dynamics as a way of maintaining our health and well-being. Because of this, perhaps it makes us more impressionable. The best course of action here, then, is to spend the majority of your time with the types of people that you admire the most. Do not spend time with people whose attributes you dislike, because it is highly likely that those qualities could rub off on you, whether you want them to or not. Be selective about the people that you spend your time with. If you find yourself dealing with a lot of toxic people, do everything in your power to cut them out or limit the time you spend with them so that they are no longer able to influence you. That is one of the fastest and most foolproof ways of eliminating clutter in your mind and creating a support network of people who will truly encourage you, as opposed to people who will delight in the fact that they have been able to bring you down. Something else that you could attempt to do is find a mentor. Mentors are people who are there for guidance and support and will go out of their way to show you that you are doing a good job at working toward your goals. When you feel stuck, they know how to help you or find resources when the going seems to be getting tough. Mentors help you stay on track and can be a great way to help you to refocus your efforts onto something productive, rather than dwelling on things that may have been less successful than you hoped it would be. Utilizing a mentor can be a great way to help you become more confident and capable of becoming your truest self and rising from the ashes. There is no faster way to failure than surrounding yourself with people who are going to simply hold you back. You do not want to spend your time dealing with people who don't believe in you or your visions, or who make you feel like you are worthless for not measuring up to their expectations and preferences. Instead, be strong and make good choices about who it is that you spend your time with. In the long run, that can help you far more than you would ever believe when you embark upon a journey to rise from the ashes and succeed. Journaling with gratitude. All of us have setbacks from time to time, and these can often change our perspective about ourselves and our ability to achieve goals. There are many ways for us to begin to deal with these feelings of inadequacy, but one of the best ways, especially if you're hoping to succeed more in the future, is by journaling. In particular, journaling about the things that you're grateful for is a good way to begin to focus your mind on the positive things in your life rather than dwelling on the negatives. When we are able to shift our focus to positive aspects of our lives, it becomes far easier for us to begin to view negative situations in a more objective light. Gratitude is a great way to start to appreciate the things around us. Not only that, but it can help us to begin to see opportunities that we may have overlooked at other times. Journaling about things that we have to be grateful for is highly beneficial. Not only does it help us to process our emotions, but it helps us to retrain our minds and to appreciate things more and to seek out the things that make us happy rather than dwelling on the things that make us miserable. Journaling in itself is a very useful tool as well. It's a great way to start to keep track of the progress that we are making, whether emotionally, physically, or in terms of business and other ventures that we are interested in. It helps you to think about your thought patterns and the way you are potentially self-sabotaging or allowing yourself to dwell on things that do not necessarily need to be dwelt upon. Another benefit of having a gratitude journal is that when you are feeling down and things are starting to look grim, you can reference your gratitude journal as a way of helping you to lift your spirits. Sometimes when we are depressed or we are dealing with failure, it can be difficult for us to see the positive aspects of life. We need extra encouragement to try to look for them, and allowing ourselves to journal about at least one thing that we are grateful for every day provides us with an opportunity to dig ourselves out of the darkness and see the light again. And if you aren't really having a hard time finding something to be grateful for, you can always read back over your gratitude journal and consider all of the different things that you have to be grateful for. It can be very heartening to have this type of resource at your disposal, especially if you're hoping to achieve something great. We can forget all the little steps that it takes to accumulate into a larger whole. And if we are utilizing a gratitude journal to help us keep track of the things that we are doing right, then it will help us to keep our mind focused on the good. Keeping a gratitude journal is just one more way of utilizing the power of positivity in order to help you achieve all of your goals and rise from the ashes. It is a useful tool in many ways, but most especially when it comes to being able to look at certain events objectively and retraining your mind to focus on opportunities and positivity rather than dwelling in the darkness of your perceived failures. The importance of routine and structure. Perhaps the most important thing for anybody who is trying to turn their lives around is figuring out how to utilize routine and structure so that you are fully capable of spending time wisely and creating opportunities for yourself to succeed. Time management can be one of the most difficult aspects of getting yourself on the ball. This is especially true if you have been suffering from depression due to failures in the past. All of us have a tendency to waste time in one way or another, and sure, recreational time is important too. However, if all we are doing is spending time on recreational things and obligations that are not helping us to move toward our goals, then we can begin to fall into a slump. It can be hard to get out of slumps like this, which is why routines and structure can be so helpful. There is nothing more beneficial to somebody with depression than discipline. And whether you are suffering from depression or not, discipline is something that can be life-altering in the best of ways. When we are able to dedicate ourselves to a certain task at a certain time every day, and it becomes a healthy habit, not only does it help us to build confidence, it helps us to truly understand and appreciate the value of our time. When we understand how much we can accomplish in a certain amount of time, it becomes that much easier for us to become motivated to utilize our time in the best way possible. A lot of people feel confined by routine, but those who are able to utilize it in their own lives ultimately find that it is extremely rewarding and beneficial. When we are able to learn proper time management skills, having a set routine down is something that is not only better for our peace of mind, but it is also better for our physical and mental health as well. When we are not tending to those things, it can be that much more difficult for us to succeed. If you are not used to having a schedule, start small. Begin to try doing certain things at a certain time every day, so that you begin to get used to setting the time aside for specific tasks. It is better not to overload yourself all at once. For example, begin to dedicate yourself to eating your meals at a certain time and perhaps going to sleep at a certain time as well. These will give you basic structure to work from, one that is immovable. Having a good sleeping and eating schedule is something that truly benefits both the body and mind. Now once you have the basics down, then you can begin to prioritize your schedule. Consider all of the obligations that you have to deal with throughout the week, and begin to allot a certain date and time for you to proceed with those activities. You might find that you have a lot of obligations, or you may find that you have a relatively clear schedule. Either way, organization of your calendar can be exceptionally helpful. Remember to try setting aside time every day for you to be able to utilize introspection, meditate, and do things that help you to stay in touch with your true self. These will help you to feel at your best at all times, which is ultimately the most important aspect of rising from the ashes. On top of that, creating a routine for yourself is a way to relieve stress and anxiety. You will have more opportunities to feel in control of your time and shift your focus to the things that truly matter the most to you when it comes to working toward your goals. When you are making your goals a priority in your day, they become so much easier to accomplish. Before long, you'll find yourself wondering how it was so hard for you to get into the right mindset to rise from the ashes and pull yourself up from your bootstraps to succeed. Conclusion. Over the course of a lifetime, all humans accumulate many different experiences. It can be hard for us to reconcile ourselves to failure, especially if we are taught at a young age that failure is something that defines us. Most of us are accustomed to being measured by the standards of others, and this can leave us feeling extremely discouraged and unhappy, especially when we are unable to achieve our goals. Fortunately, where there is a will, there is a way, and we can easily begin to identify all of the ways that we are coming up short when it comes to working toward our goals. There are many ways that we sabotage ourselves that we don't even consider, and being able to look at those objectively in a way that is constructive will inevitably help you to get out of whatever slump you may be in, so that you can truly begin to live up to your full potential. Following the simple steps in this guide to realizing your power and rising from the ashes like the phoenix coming into its own will allow you to truly understand just how much influence you have over your own destiny. All of us have shortcomings and setbacks from time to time. However, we do not have to let those things defeat us. Instead of becoming discouraged, use this training as a way to remember that you are fully capable of becoming the best version of yourself possible, no matter what types of challenges you have faced in your life. Whether you need to seek out emotional and mental support, or you need to be more diligent and disciplined, either way, you are bound to succeed if you are willing to take the steps necessary in order to do so. Start to redefine your life so that you are living for yourself and yourself alone. Nobody has the right to tell you how to live your life. You need to stop playing by society's rules and begin to start accepting yourself for where you are at and what you hope to accomplish. Being able to really accept yourself will provide you with the confidence that you need to pursue your dreams. This training will show you how to do just that. No matter what type of adversity you may have encountered on your journey so far, there is still hope for you yet. All of us have had a hard time doing what matters the most to us, at least to some degree. But it is the quitters that truly fail. Be someone who thrives. Do not give up just because things seem difficult. Instead, consider your options. Think about the ways that you can be more true to yourself and focus more of your energy on the tasks that mean the most. All of us at some point need support and a new perspective to help us get over the hurdle here or there. Never feel bad about yourself for needing to reach out and seek resources that will help you to get back on your feet. Life can be hard, but we are made of tough stuff. The human spirit is resilient, and our minds are strong. You do have what it takes to rise from the ashes and succeed. You can pull yourself up from your bootstraps and become a self-made miracle. All you have to do is take the first step. Once you have, you are well on your way to being the person you have always dreamed you would become. You can do it.